I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
And we got a car restart zone to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Coverage. I mean, I've got after having my hands and we'll see what happens. It looks like just lost a little bit of a connection there. Looks like we're having a problem with Discord actually. So anyway, there's our race analysis down there. Pit road speed 40 miles an hour. We got 2 hours here tonight for you. Double the points, double the pleasure. Unlimited sets of tires for these guys. 1 fast repair and 65% fuel with an open setup. And I think we're still working the problem back there. Jacob, you got a copy?
Yes, I do. I
Sounds
don't know
like
I don't know what happened there.
Sounds like we're back now, so that's good. So I thought maybe we're getting ready for this 2-hour broadcast. We're about to lose it. Well, let's just shoot up the points really quick. We got about a minute left in qualifying, and look at there on the GTP side. We got a 29-point deficit by Jamie Lipke trying to hunt for that championship. But Reagan Carty's missed the last few races, but he's here tonight, one of the strongest drivers out there, one of the fastest in practice. That's a very close points battle there. So Jamie Lipke might be maybe not hoping for the best for Reagan Carty tonight. What you got going on the GT3 side?
Austin Cobb still firmly holding the points lead for the GT3s. Joshua Jackson, the most consistent driver in the field up to this point. He's sitting in P2, a little over 350 points back of Cobb. If Cobb has another issue, like he said earlier in the season, Jackson can close that gap up before we get to Watkins Glen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're wrapping up qualifying, and it's time to award our Jam Printing and Promotions Pull Award. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed to printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And how about that? Our Pull Award winner for tonight is going to be on his return will be Reagan Carty, with Hector Collazo, who's won just about every race since entering this series. He's going to start on the outside there tonight. Jamie Lipke, second in points, is going to start third on the line there with Jason Kristen there on her outside. Billy Sigmund will start fifth with Bill Milfield. Oh, man, I'm having a hard time tonight. Starting in that sixth position. That's going to wrap up your GTP field.
And for the GT3s, Austin Cobb does it again, puts it back on the pole for this race this week. Patty Armstrong going to roll off in P2 like he's done before. Joshua Jackson, your second in points, is going to be rolling off in P3. Itamar Elimele in fourth. Samuel Yosef, in a shock turn of events, is going back to a GT3 for this race to run with the rest of the Angler crew in fifth. Timothy Wilms rolls off in sixth in the BMW. John Houchin in the Porsche rolls off P7. Christopher Heiner coming back to the series to run in the number 5 Corvette there, running off P8. Alexander Sexauer in the Corvette in P9. Pat Nolan in another Corvette P10. You can tell what the favorite of the series is so far. And then Honest Softic and DJ Patterson round out your 12-car GT3 grid.
Well, like I said, Jacob, it's nice having you back. You had the week off last week, but we're going to sit down. We're going to have a nice race here at the Indy course, or the road course here at Indy, which is actually kind of one of my favorite places to run. It's not one of the most technical road courses, but it is fun to drive. It does eat up tires, and it does take some skill getting around this place. And we're all going to send these cars down the front straightaway into turn one, where on the start of a race, it's one of the most petrifying things, one of the most petrifying road courses out there when it comes to the start of the race. After that, it's pretty good.
Well, what everybody's got to keep in mind now is that you're not just going for the scheduled distance. You're going for twice that now. This is our final 2-hour race of the season leading into next week's finale, and everybody's got to keep in mind for the moves that they make as well as the pit strategy, as I think we're getting ready to go green, Ken.
Yeah, we're hitting the extreme scoring restart zone, and we're about to go green flag racing. We're going to send them down into turn one as the green flag comes out, and the prototypes make their way down to that infamous turn one. You can see back behind them, all those GT3s are now getting up to speed. Hector trying to get around Reagan Carty now on the outside, tries to block that move. Reagan Carty is able to slip back by. These guys are going hard at it. Hector now with the advantage through 1 and 2, but now Reagan Carty is going to challenge back on the inside, and they get that back to single file.
In the GT3s, Austin Cobb able to get her to an early start here. Joshua Jackson tried to follow him on the inside of the corner to try and get that P2 position away from Patty Armstrong, but Armstrong able to keep it there. We almost lost Itamar Elimele into the sand trap off the back bumper of Joshua Jackson. He rounds out fourth with Samuel Yosef in the P5 position.
Yeah, I did see a Corvette back there in the Sam track. I'm just trying to figure out who that was. We're going to go back and take another look at that.
That is the 217 of Pat Nolan, it looks like.
Yeah, I think Pat Nolan's new to the series here. Oh, just a hard charge there through 2 and 3. And the car is very light there, especially on cold tires. I mentioned there at the top that this track is very hard on tires. And one of the reasons is it isn't very abrasive. And we got a challenge for the lead. Hector going on the outside as they cross. He crosses over down the front stretch. Hector trying to pull it down the straightaway here over Reagan Carty, who's made his return this week, trying to hold on to that points lead. Reagan Carty still with the advantage going into turn one. They're side by side once again. Hector trying to challenge back through 2. And these guys got to be very careful. I'm hearing a lot of GT3 slip sliding around as we got one of the BMWs in the wall. But Reagan Carty still able to hold on to the lead, fending off Hector. And you know what, Jacob, you mentioned this pre-race that these two guys battling, I don't think we've seen them either. Reagan Carty usually has an accident or something like that when these two guys get to battling like this.
And Hector is 4 for 4, winning the GTP class in the starts that he has made, and every single one that Hector has made, if Reagan Carty is in the field, he's either not finished or finished in a position way further back than he usually is. It's uncharacteristic almost. It's like Hector's his kryptonite or something.
Yeah, so that incident while I was watching these two guys battle was Honest Softic getting into the wall on the final in turn 14, just not enough rear downforce on that BMW. You can see him there, and catches a curb there, and and then just catches that inside wall in turn 14. So he's had to tow that BMW to pit lane and getting that thing repaired. I'm not sure if he's going to make it back out there as we rejoin the two leaders out there. Hector's still trying to find a way around Reagan Carty, who's continuing to hold on to this lead, but barely.
Positive you can think of for having an issue this early on is that it's early on in the race. You're within like the first 5 minutes, so you have all that rest of that time to wait for other people to make mistakes and make up for your own misgivings here. And speaking of incidents, Jamie Libke earlier I was watching the GT3s coming through the initial first sector, and Libke was off in the grass, might have made some contact with somebody. Sigmund's up 2 spots, but Libke is fighting their way through GT3 traffic to try and get back to their class.
Yeah, and Lipke, she was knocking on that points championship, and she doesn't need any issues out here tonight, especially with double the points. Only 29 points back of our leader. So trying to hang on. She's got a lot of recovery to do here tonight, but 2 hours to get it done. So it isn't totally out of the realm of possibility. But as I was saying about Indy being one of those high tire usage tracks, one of the reasons for it, it's not that it's that technical, but you spend a lot of time here. The track gets hot. You can see we're in full sunshine. We're looking at track temperature. Well, right now it's only 77 degrees, but what eats the tires up at this track, you spend a lot of time just sliding through each corner. You're never really locked into any one corner. The only corner I can think of where you're halfway locked in is maybe turn 6, and that's that little chicane right before you go onto the backstretch. Other than that, every turn, the car is just sliding, and you're trying to find grip, and you just chew the rubber off these cars.
Yep, and you've got to find a way to handle that before you get too deep in this race. Otherwise, you're just going to keep chewing the tires off. As we're watching the closest battle on track right now, Joshua Jackson made their way up into the P2 spot over Itamar because Patty Armstrong looks to have a little bit of an issue. Having dropped both of those spots to his teammate and the 70, Joshua Jackson trying to keep within arm's reach of Austin Cobb in case he makes a mistake so that he can capitalize and get that win to try and drag this to a shootout at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and he definitely knows that's what he needs to do is get up there to Austin Cobb. You know how fast Austin Cobb has been all season long in that Corvette. But Joshua Jackson there definitely trying to chase him down, and with double the points on the line tonight, can make up a little bit of that deficit, and especially if Austin Cobb has any issues out here tonight. But looking at a whole set of teammates back there with Itamar, Patty Armstrong, and Sammy Yosef, all three of those drivers all hooked up, and you can see Jamie Lipke just back there trying to make her way back through these GT3s and back up to the back of the prototype field.
Well, so Jamie Lipke has gotten past Samuel Yosef, a conversation that we have had no less than maybe 100 times over the course of the season, with the Lipke fighting their way back up through the GT3 traffic. They're being courteous enough to give them the space, and it looks like even Patty's trying to get a little bit of the draft off of the GTP as it comes through there, getting side by side with Itamar, but Itamar holds that position, staying in P3 while Joshua just starts to drive away ahead.
Yeah, and that's actually smart driving, trying to catch that draft on those prototypes, because those prototypes punch a big hole in the air, and you can actually gain a lot of time once the prototype passes and you get in their slipstream. You can actually gain a lot of time over your competitors if you time it right. And Joshua Jackson did that when Jamie went by as well. Joshua Jackson able to open that gap up a little bit over third place with Itamar Etemele. Eli Melech. I'll get it right.
Yep, a little under 3 seconds now between Jackson and Armstrong. Jamie Libke still almost fighting their way back to the front of the GT3s, gets by Austin Cobb, and now they are chasing down the tail end of the GTP class as we are kind of all sorted out from there now. Austin Cobb now a little over 2 seconds ahead of the P2 GT3.
Yeah, that battle with the lead GTPs has sorted itself out for now. Reagan Carty's got about 2 seconds over Hector Collazo, so Reagan Carty able to get some breathing room as he touches a little bit of the dirt there on the outside of turn. That was turn 14, or excuse me, that's turn 12. Now we're going into 13 and 14. But trying to put some hot laps down and try to escape that car that's behind him. Hector Collazo is, like I said, he's won like the last 5 or 6 races in a row. I'm just looking back here. Yeah, the last 5 races Hector Collazo has won. So Reagan Carty now on point and trying to make it known that he is back and he's here to race.
Yep, and he better show out because Hector has been nigh unbeatable over the course of this season that he's been here. And we will see what happens when we get to the pit stops and the pit cycles and see if those mistakes are made. We got plenty of time to have them, as we're not even 10 minutes into this thing yet.
Yeah, we got a long ways to go in this race. It's going to be fun watching these guys. You know, we've commentated over these races over all season, and we've had some really strong prototype drivers. But it's hard to get them all together each and every race. And we got two of the best out here right now. And I imagine before this race is over, they're going to be putting on quite a show. But it'll be exciting to see how this all plays out for Reagan Carty and Hector Collazo. See if he gets his first defeat here of the season for Hector. Hector's a little bit back in points as we're looking at 6 Hour right now. But he's a little bit further back in points. We're going to go back and see exactly what happened to Alexander 6 Hour.
Watching that green Corvette make their way through the S's and just take a little bit too wide on exit there. Catches that grass, slips it around. Light contact with the wall. It doesn't look like there's any obvious damage, but he's able to get that thing back up and going with the leaders of the GTP class moving through.
It's a tricky section of the track there through those S's that you mentioned. And what I had mentioned with the way the track eats up the tires, you're slipping and sliding, trying to push that car through those S's. It's pushing out. And then the final corner there, that right-hander, you're throwing the car to the left, throwing it to the right. The car gets unbalanced, and then you lose the rear end. As we're watching another car having an issue out here. It looks like Joshua Jackson up there in the Porsche, still holding on to this lead. We're looking at and see if something happened back here. Holding on to second place, I should say.
Thinking he might have gone wide because he has dropped 2 spots to Armstrong and Elimele. As we're watching right now, yep, he pushes wide on exit there, and he just loses all momentum onto the front stretch. That allows Patty to get by, and then Itamar's probably going to get him in turn 1 here.
In back position, but he is behind those two guys, so he can reel him back in, maybe reset this thing, get those tires cooled back off, and get back up there.
Plenty of time to do so. This is the closest battle on track right now. Itamar Elimele trying to chase down the 121 and his teammate of Patty Armstrong, Austin Cobb, 2.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Itamar's doing a great job out there running that P3 position. Teammate up there, Patty Armstrong, just ahead of him there, now finds himself in second. But Austin Cobb, once again, has opened up a gap, quite a gap actually at this point. He is up almost 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds or so. So Austin Cobb doing what he needs to do so far, like he's done all season long.
Having run 11 races, this will be his 12th on the season. And with the drivers having run as many races as they have, it doesn't look like we've had a GT3 run a full length. Like, they haven't run every single race up to this point. As we're watching the Porsche of Joshua Jackson pull it into the pits, might have had an issue on track further back, and he's going to be dropping like a rock, and that's not what you want to see for his championship hopes.
I'd have done the math, though, and figured out where he needs to do as far as fuel strategy goes. And maybe he's just decided to call this one, get out of traffic so he can run some clean air. But I don't think there's any damage on that car or anything like that. Maybe just getting some fuel in there, getting back out there, and maybe hopefully getting an empty track for him to maybe make up some time. But it is unusual to see these cars on pit lane this early in the race, only being less than 15 minutes into it. These cars can go about 40 minutes, these GT3s, on a tank of fuel at 65% fuel. So it is very unusual to be in on pit lane this time.
Yeah, and with the pace he was making, it's a bit unorthodox when it comes to like what strategy he might be going for. Is he just taking the fresh tires here 15 minutes in and then hoping that they'll hold up on the back end when he gets through and everybody else makes their pit stops? It's a gamble, and we've seen gambles pay off for him specifically earlier on in the season. So I'm in no room to judge. He's got to win based entirely on that.
Well, yeah, going back to what I was saying, if these cars are going maybe a little under 40 minutes for the fuel stop, And what you could be seeing is basically his splash and dash, where a lot of drivers will do that at the end of the race. He might be doing it here at the beginning, and he'll be full fuel stop after that, and then these other guys will have to make that additional stop. So I don't know. It depends on how it all plays out. I would think that this track isn't terrible on fuel. It's not one of the best, but I think these cars can go 40 minutes, which would make it a two-stop race. But it'll be squeaky probably with these GT3s. I can guarantee you that the GTPs are probably going to have to make 3 stops just by the nature of the horsepower that those machines run and the downforce. They definitely don't get the fuel mileage that these sports cars get.
Yep, and it's to your point with the track. There's a lot of wide open running that you can do, especially on the back stretch through the golf course there. The front stretch, obviously, you're completely flat out as soon as you exit. But there's a lot of medium throttle corners, and you're backing it down into the brakes. You're letting off to go through some of the S's and just try and hit that mark as best as you can. So it's all going to boil down to who's smoother on the throttle and who's able to use up not as much fuel as their competitors, as we see another close battle on track between Houchin and Heiner here.
Yeah, great little battle right here. Probably the best battle on the track. I was watching just real quick. We're having a little bit of connection issues like we had at the start. Hector Collazo having a little bit of connection issue with his machine. But these two guys are going at it down the front stretch. I don't know. Maybe we can ride along and I can do a walkthrough one of these laps here at Indy next time by. We're on the front stretch. But so the fans out there can get an idea what it's like going around this place. It's not a very big track, but it is a lot of fun. Like I said, you got to manage the tires, and the track does tend to get hot. And we are in the early morning right now. We're at 10 o'clock in the morning sim time. So probably by the end of this race, we're going to be about lunchtime sim time, and that track is going to be starting to heat up quite a bit, probably well over 100 degrees, and these guys are definitely going to be feeling it then.
We just saw the result of that battle between Houchin and Heiner as Heiner gets himself out of the grass and back on track with 15 minutes elapsed. Currently sitting in the P7 position, so he's not doing too bad, but he's got to pick up the pace if he wants to try and compete for those podium spots again.
Here we go, looking back at our prototype field. Reagan Carty leading this thing into turn 1. Just got the Corvette ahead of him there. The Corvette is Pat Nolan there. We see Pat Nolan had that issue at the start of this race, so Pat Nolan going a lap down to the prototype, which is totally normal. But going through the next couple of corners here, that's turn 6, and he's running down the back stretch here, headed towards turn 7. There's a nice braking zone, a great passing opportunity. Going to swing this car to the left, and this is a fine dance here through these S's. You really have to pick the right gear and keep the momentum in the car. The car is slipping and sliding around. And as you get on the power here, the rear end wants to step out here, and he does a great job getting it to the outside, gets back up on the inside of oval here. This is 10 and 11, and this is another hard braking zone. It's very easy to upset the car, get on that curb, send the rear end around again, and then we're going to go back to the left. You're just throwing the weight around in these cars headed towards turn 14. And it's just almost every corner the car wants to step out, especially in these prototype cars. It's very difficult to get around this place. But Reagan Carty definitely showing why he's up front at the moment.
Yeah, but as much as you're lifting and braking through some of these corners, you're not getting a lot of downforce as you need to keep it planted, and that's what's lifting up that rear end on the corners. And that might have been what happened with Hector Collazo, because he is now 30 seconds behind Reagan Carty for the lead of the GTPs, and he is pitting into the pit lane. He might have some damage here.
Yeah, I think that's what I was noticing. I thought it might have been his connection issue. We're back looking at the replay, see what happened to Hector here. He's right behind the leader of the GT3 field, Austin Cobb, and he's getting by there on the inside. So far, so good. No issues there as he gets up onto the Indy side of the racetrack. Oh, there it is right there. Gets it into the back of another GT3 car, and going to have to take that thing to pit lane and get it repaired, get back out there.
I think that was Pat Nolan just planted it up in that top line. I don't think Collazo was expecting to have to brake that hard and just plowed right into the back of him. That is unfortunate timing to catch one of those lap cars, and that has put him at a severe disadvantage as he has dropped out of the top 5 completely.
Well, it's even more unfortunate. Pat Nolan, I think he's new to the series here. This race might be his first race out there, but I think Pat was just trying to let him go, so he basically came to a stop on the track, and Hector did not see that coming at all. And, that's why we always talk to these drivers pre-race. When you're in the slower class cars, you got to run your line and let these faster guys figure out how to get around you. And once they get alongside you, then you can lift in. That's about the best opportunity. But I have a feeling that's what happened. Pat Nolan just trying to be courteous out there, but sometimes that does more harm than good.
Yep, and it looks like Hector Collazo has called it a night after 20 minutes, having towed to the pits, and his car was being worked on, and that drops our GTP field down to 5 cars.
Wow, what a change of events. We're kind of looking forward to that. I mentioned it at the top of the broadcast there, Jacob. Well, you did as well, is that when Reagan Carty and Hector Collazo get to battling, somebody pays the price. It's usually been Reagan Carty, but tonight it looks like Hector was fallen victim to one of those two guys. They just get racing hard, and a lot of pressure being put on trying to get back up to Reagan Carty, and definitely didn't probably expect that GT3 to slow down like that.
Yep, and making comments was Hector Collazo. We got another one around. That is going to be one of the Mercedes of the Angler team. Itamar Elimele must have put it into the wall because he is towed to the pits now. Oh yeah, it looks like he might have just lost it off the curb there.
Yeah, it was weird because I could have swore I seen parts coming off that car before he even hit anything. I'm suspicious of the connection issues that we're having here tonight. We're going back. We're looking at this replay, see exactly what happened there. Oh, I see what it is. Just the dirt he gathered off the rear end of that thing and sent that thing around, but so far hasn't hit anything, and just decided to tow that in. It's an unusual move.
He hit the curb, spun it, towed, and has quit. So
Well,
we've got 2 cars. At least now we've lost Pat Nolan from the GT3 field. So we got 3 cars in the first 20 minutes that people have decided to just stop driving.
I guess this track is just eating these people alive tonight with attrition here. With 2-hour race, it got a lot of time to make this back up, and a lot of fatigue starts setting in after about an hour, and a lot of these other top drivers could make these mistakes. I'm not sure that I would have just parked it at that point, but looking at our top 2 there, Austin Cobb and Patty Armstrong. Patty Armstrong just 2.5 seconds behind Austin Cobb. Austin Cobb hasn't totally run away with this thing, so Patty's still within reach.
Yep, Armstrong still 2.5 seconds behind your class leader, Austin Cobb, he's just tracking like he's running his race like he's done all season long. And I would only hope he doesn't like bobble it out of one of those corners and decide to call it a night in like the next 10 minutes, because that would open up the points battle.
Absolutely. Certainly would. Just looking back at where Joshua Jackson is in this race right now after taking that early pit stop. Joshua currently running in 8th position, so got some ground to make up, but these guys are all due to make a stop in about the next 20 minutes or 20 to 15 minutes, I would say, for these GT3s, for less than that for our prototype field. And when you got a hungry race car, they've got hungry drivers in those cars as well, and a great place to get a great meal and fill those stomachs is Nasty's Restaurant Bar and Grill. On March 21st, 2012, Nasty's opens its door in Hillard, Ohio, and from the get-go, they aimed to embody the energy and passion their sons, Nathan and John, poured into their dreams. Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every guest received exceptional food service. They're the co-sponsors of the Wednesday Next Gen series, which we will cover tomorrow night, and they have hosted numerous fundraisers in their establishment with the Goat Locker team of raising funds to donate SimRig recipients to deserving first responders and veterans. So Thank you, Nasties. We're proud to have you on board. And Jacob, I believe you actually dined at that facility.
Yes, I was there for one of the sim rig giveaways. It was Gary Cox Jr. Uh, terrible, terrible choice of football team. Go Blue. They are a predominantly Buckeye organization, being in the heart of Columbus. And I'm not talking to our producer because he just said OH in my ear. But they do have an excellent chicken sandwich.
Yeah, I haven't been to Ohio to check it out. So when I am in Ohio, I'm going to be sure that I check out Nasty's Bar and Grill out there. But still watching Joshua Jackson currently running an 8th. It looks like our leader there. I'm just checking here. Might be on pit lane. Just going back. Lost my camera there. No, it wasn't our leader, but I seen a Corvette on pit lane.
It's, Alexander Sexauer has pulled it in from the P8 position, and he's going to have a top 10 today. So that's going to be a solid performance from him just to finish this one out.
Yeah, you got to make it to the end, but yeah, top 10 is in order with the attrition that we've already seen here tonight. There's a driver just back there in that green prototype behind Austin Cobb there. Jason Kristen back there having a solid night, running in the top 3 in that 3rd position. Haven't talked about him all night long, but holding strong right now. He's got a ways back to Billy Sigmund, who's also having a strong night, but just about 4 seconds back of Billy Sigmund. Doing a great job out there in that prototype.
Yeah, Jason Kristen, somebody that we hadn't really had an opportunity to talk about all too often this season. He's run 10 races. This will be his 11th. But he is 428 points off of Reagan Carty in the points, and he is very likely going to be in contention for at least a top 3 in points by next week at Watkins Glen if he keeps it up and if he keeps ahead of Mofield and Lipke.
Yeah, he's done a tremendous job all season. Been here, I think, just about every race, and the points certainly show it. But really consistent out there. Had some struggles a couple of races during the year, but all in all, it seems like he's having a really good night out there tonight. Another one, Billy Sigmund ahead of him. We haven't talked about him as well. Billy's having he's having a great night, actually, running in 2nd in that Pennzoil machine, I believe it is. Getting through the first couple of corners here. Trying to hang on to that podium spot. Both these guys are a ways back from our leader, Reagan Carty, over 50 seconds. So basically we could have a battle here. Jason Kristen isn't that far back behind Billy Sigmund, so we could have a battle for the podium positions. If Jason Kristen can run down Billy Sigmund, we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. And in fact, these prototypes are going to be coming due probably in the next 5 to 7 minutes for a fuel stop as well. So things could change up then.
Yep, Sigmund is only 3 seconds ahead of Jason Kristen. That is the closest gap in the GTPs. The closest gap in the GT3s is the one that is steadily closing to Austin Cobb. Patty Armstrong is within 1.8 seconds of our class leader. And if we do end up going towards the pit stops, like you said, 40 minutes in, so we got about 14 minutes until that time. He may very well make it up there and challenge him for the lead on exit.
Yeah, Austin Cobb has got a lap car there of DJ Patterson just ahead of him there in that McLaren. And you're right there, Patty Armstrong has slowly been reeling in Austin Cobb there. Austin Cobb in the Corvette, and the Mercedes just back there, that light blue and white car. And it looks like DJ Patterson is going to let Austin Cobb by, but it looks like that Patty Armstrong is going to maybe catch that lap car at the wrong time. I'm sure DJ is probably going to do his best to let him by, but going to maybe lose a little bit of time. He's already lost 0.2 of a second, having to hang behind that McLaren.
Yep, and getting caught in these S's is something you don't want to do, as that was almost likely a off track for the Mercedes there, or at least maybe a slowdown, because he took all of that curb and more, hopping over to try and get past the McLaren, which he does on exit, but he has just lost a little too much time from hanging behind that car.
Yeah, lost a half a second there. It was really closing it in, but he's got the speed in that car, so he'll just have to do it again. We're only a quarter away in this race, so definitely that's a driver. And, you know, speaking of Patty Armstrong, he's also one of the fastest in practice. Watching Austin Cobb and Patty Armstrong just trade the fastest lap times all practice long. So, no, Patty's probably going to try to be there at the end and secure a podium position. But speaking of podium positions, Sammy Yosef now he's currently running in third. So Sammy Yosef right now he's also in that identical Mercedes, his teammate up there, Patty Armstrong, trying to hold on to that last podium position. But he's got some ground to make up. He's quite a ways back behind those other two drivers there. You can see it on your screen. He's about 12 seconds back. So some distance to cover here for Sammy Yosef.
Yep. 2 seconds back is Patty Armstrong from Austin Cobb. 14 seconds behind our leader is Samuel Yosef. Timothy Williams is 17 seconds behind him. John Houchin, 13 seconds back in 5th. Heiner, 10 seconds behind P5 in 6th. Joshua Jackson slowly making up that gap from that early stop that he made. 15 seconds back of P6 Christopher Heiner, but he is going to have a little bit of an advantage on the stop. He won't have to hold it down for that long. But he is getting close to the danger zone for going a lap down, it looks like.
Going to be interested to see how this pit cycle shakes out between Austin Cobb and Patty Armstrong. So I think that's where we could see a change in the lead, or maybe a mistake from either one of those drivers. Maybe Patty will go a little bit further back. But right now, as soon as Patty seems to get clean track, he can run that car back down. Right now, watching Pat Nolan there in that BMW there, we've seen an early incident from that driver. Put it on the inside wall, got that car repaired, got it back out there.
That looks to be Timothy Williams, I believe. Yeah, that's the 86 of Timothy Williams running in 4th, and might have some network issues for that car behind. I think that's the 16 of Jamie Libke. It is blinking out a little bit in the background there.
Yeah, I don't think the internet's very solid tonight there, Jacob. So not only did we have a problem here at the top of the broadcast, it looks like some of our drivers that we're not used to seeing those issues with as Jamie goes by Timothy Williams. Excuse me for calling that car incorrectly there, but yeah, a lot of connection issues out there tonight. Now we kind of expect it from Hector because he's across the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, we got a car stopped. That was Pat Nolan. I was watching Pat Nolan there, just stopped on that track again, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Pat is out there and he's trying to let cars by, yeah, there he is. He's trying to let cars back by, and then that was DJ Patterson, but he almost came to a complete stop there. DJ Patterson almost got into the back of him trying to get around him. So Pat needs a little bit of help out there, maybe a little bit of guidance on when to let that traffic by. He's trying to do his best out there, but we're glad to have him on board, that's for sure. But got to be careful. You know, run your line out there, Pat. If you're watching the broadcast, run your line and let those guys get around you. Don't worry about your mirror.
Yeah, but if you are watching the broadcast, 1, shame on you. Pay attention to the race. 2, be predictable. The best thing that you can do if somebody is coming up on you at speed is just run your line, and they will find a way around you. Don't try to help them too much. If you're on the straightaway, you can move out of the preferred line and back out of it if somebody is fast coming up on you. You don't just slam the brakes and try to slow down while still running your line, because someone else might have that preferred line, and you might have an issue like we saw earlier with Hector.
Well, I'm watching our leader of the prototype field right now, Reagan Carty. I'm kind of interested when he might be hitting his box here. Coming here, the final turn 13. We'll see if he's going to head to pit lane. We're a little over 30 minutes into this thing, so it looks like he's going to go by one more time at least. So I don't imagine he's going to go a lap or two more. We'll have to wait and see. We'll check on Billy Sigmund and see how he's handling this track. He is just now going through turns 2 and 3. So he is a ways back, almost to the point where, you know, he's going to get lapped here in about another 5 or 6 laps the way Reagan Carty is driving this thing. So Reagan Carty is just making his way through the field like crazy, like he's always done. But at this point, he's about to lap the entire field.
Yep, not to be outdone by Hector in our last 2-hour race, as we saw him lap the field at Daytona in the rain. Everybody behind him having run a lap down. Carty's trying to do it in an hour, what took Hector almost 2.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you can kind of understand it a little bit more at Daytona with the situation they were dealing with there. But here, you know, a nice, clean, dry track out there. These guys are getting it done. I guess Daytona was dry for us, so that still was impressive. Daytona is a bigger track as well. But yeah, Reagan Carty is definitely putting down some fast laps. It looks like everybody is skipping pit lane for now. Reagan Carty goes by one more time.
Watching Sigmund here has just dropped a minute behind our leader in Reagan Carty, and those seconds are only just going to keep ticking by faster. Now looking at Austin Cobb, you mentioned before 40 minutes is going to be the magic number for the GT3s, and they're slowly coming up on that. As Patty Armstrong is slowly coming up on him, that gap has dropped significantly, and now Patty Armstrong is back within a second for the first time since the start of the race.
Yeah, and they might be able to go a little bit more, maybe 45 minutes, judging on how these prototypes are getting through the field. Now we got Patty taking a look on the inside. Going to send it down into turn one. Patty Armstrong is going to try to get the lead there. Couldn't quite make it stick. Austin Cobb able to get it back going into 2 and 3, and this is where these cars are slip sliding around. I say it again. Got to be very careful through the next couple of corners, and we're going to head through the little chicane here onto the back straight. Maybe Patty can get another run, get back in that slipstream. Patty takes a lot more curb there.
Austin able to hold that inside line to get position on the other corners, following, still holding strong ahead of Patty Armstrong, able to keep that car ahead, but only by a car length or two as they exit into the S's and getting through to the back end of this track.
Well, Reagan Carty is making his pit stop, I should say. So that's about as far as they can go, 35 minutes, I guess. So, yeah, I would expect the GT3s 10 minutes later after that. So that's probably when we can expect those guys on pit lane. And but a heck of a battle heating up here for sure here in the GT3 series as they go by pit lane, going into turn 14 and up on the Indy oval here. Clips a little bit of that grass. You got to be a little careful there on the exit of 14. You get too much there and a lot of wheel in the car, you could send the rear end of that car around. But Austin Cobb, he knows what he's doing, as well as Patty Armstrong there, trying to set up another pass. There's a car going around just behind him. I think that was, not sure who that was in the background there. Looks like one of the GT3s went around. Oh, no, that was one of the prototypes.
As Bill Mulfeld recently got his first podium in GLR a couple of weeks back. I remember being extremely excited about that at Road America, and he is back to going now. He is currently sitting in the P2 position for the GTPs, having stayed out, but that spin came at the cost of missing pit road, and that might have put him at a disadvantage as opposed to trying to stay out like he was attempting.
Yeah, hopefully he's got enough fuel in that thing to make it back around. I'm not sure what exactly happened there. He's very consistent. He's back out on track. All the prototypes now have pitted, with the exception of Jamie Lipke, who's reached her box right now, and then Bill Mulfield still out there running that as we're watching this battle in the GT3 field heat back up. Patty trying to find a way around Austin Cobb here as they're getting close to their pit stops here. Taking another piece of that grass. You can tell that Austin Cobb is really pushing that Corvette for all it's worth.
Yep, once again, not the first time, not going to be the last time we're going to see these two battling over the course of this race. As we ticked over we're almost 2/3 of the way through the first hour of this one, and Cobb is still firmly holding on to that first position, but he is going to have to make that stop sooner or later, as is Armstrong. We do have our first black flag of the race for incidents. It's Pat Nolan back out on track after having a little bit of connection issues earlier, but he has reached an incident threshold to give him a penalty, so he's going to have to serve that here soon.
We keep our eye on this battle here up front in the GT3 field as they go through the S's here. And head towards the final couple of corners here. Patty's still looking for a way around, and this Austin doing his best to defend out here. This is another tricky section of the track. This is probably one of the worst places to attempt to pass, and I've seen a lot of drivers try it before here, but I've got a lot of experience on this road course, and that's one corner I usually don't try to make a pass on. It's just there's that inside curve, and if you get too much of it, it just sends the car around. It's probably the biggest curb on this track. But after that, it's pretty good. But Austin Cobb got a nice exit out of turn 14. Going to try to break that slipstream of Patty Armstrong going down the front stretch. I think he is going to be able to beat Patty down into turn 1, so no worries there. Going to hold on to the lead for at least another half lap or so.
Yep. What's more with Cobb, we're watching these two battle, and we're seeing the different lines that they're trying to take to get the upper hand on each other. Patty is having to be the aggressor here to try and claw their way back up to the back end of the 42 machine. Cobb looks relaxed. He has been running this line the entire race, and he is not going to deviate from that because it's what got him to the front. It's what's kept him up front. It's what's going to keep that Mercedes behind him.
Yeah, and you know, I also, I mentioned it before, you also got to be very careful with tire wear here, and Austin might be fully aware of how this place will chew up the tires and might be maintaining the gap, as they like to say, but I believe Patty is doing the right thing. Just keep pressure on, and maybe force a mistake here. As we are now 40 minutes into this race, I imagine within, 2 to 5 minutes, we'll see these GT3s start to make their first pit stops of the night.
Yep, and I am sure that we are going to see more strategy play out as we see Patty Armstrong peel it into the pit lane. Yes, he is going to make his stop, try and get that undercut on Austin Cobb because he knows he's got to go soon. We're not even to the 40-minute mark yet, so this is a little bit of an early stop from the Mercedes. And as of right now, Austin Cobb and Timothy Wilms are the only GT3s that haven't made their stop as of yet, with Patty on pit lane now.
And the disadvantage to coming in this early, well, Patty has made it to the 40-minute mark, so that's a 2-stop race no matter what. But, the longer that Austin Cobb can stay out there, the less fuel he's going to have to put in at the end of this race, and that might be what he's thinking. But Austin Cobb now catching up to the back of Alexander Sexhauer, a lap car. And, speaking of some of the prototypes having troubles out there, Jamie Lipke, Bill Mofield, they haven't even lapped the GT3 field yet. They're actually on the same lap as the GT3 field. So a couple of drivers having some struggles out there in the prototype as we're watching Austin Cobb see if he's going to make his way to pit lane here in another couple of corners as he closes in of the lap car there of Alexander Sexhauer in that black and green Corvette just ahead of him. And the pit entrance here, the pit lane entry is kind of a little bit tricky. It's a little bit deceiving. It seems like it should be easier, but it's very difficult to gauge your speed. That corner that he just came through, very difficult to get that car woed up and know exactly what speed to hit it. But he does a good job there, gets it woed up. And now we're going to watch a battle for the lead between Austin Cobb and Patty, depending on when Austin Cobb comes out of pit lane here. We'll see how this race off pit lane works.
And with Timothy Wilms in the pit lane with Austin Cobb, that makes every car in the field having taken some form of service or another. Watching that Mercedes continue tracking while Austin Cobb's Corvette is in the pit lane, it's going to be close by the time they get out of the pits.
Yeah, and this is a small track. Even though Patty is way back there on the back stretch, it doesn't take long to get back to the front stretch, and their stops, looking at about 21 seconds, maybe more, 26 seconds, I believe, for pit stops around that time. So we'll see. Looks like Patty got pretty much a 28-second pit stop. We'll see how Austin Cobb does here with his pit stop. See if he can beat Patty off pit lane. Patty now going through the final couple of corners here, headed towards that infamous turn 14. Waiting for Austin Cobb has now completed the service, and waiting for Patty to come down here. And Patty is quite a ways back. Austin Cobb is going to beat Patty by a huge margin.
Got an entire straightaway between them, as well as there is another surprise contender for this position. Patty Armstrong under fire from Joshua Jackson in the 70.
Yeah, Joshua Jackson pitted earlier, about 10 minutes in. We both thought it was unusual strategy there. But Joshua Jackson, that means Joshua Jackson's about 10 minutes away from his pit stop. So, he's going to run back there. I don't imagine he's going to put up too much of a challenge, knowing that he's got to pit here in a little bit. But he is putting some definite pressure on here as they head down the backstretch here, down towards turn 7.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the opposite, Ken. He's trying to get as far ahead of these guys as possible, or at least close that gap to make it a little bit more feasible when he gets those fresh tires. As we watch the Mercedes go wide, the Porsche almost makes contact with him, almost side by side. Now they're tandem, second and third, fighting real close to the middle sector here.
I'm still confused how Patty lost all that time. I'm looking at Patty's pit stop time compared to Austin Cobb, and really wasn't that big of a difference between those two drivers. Matter of fact, Patty was a little bit faster off pit lane, and a little bit something must have happened out on track that we didn't catch there, Jacob, because there is no reason for Patty to be sitting back where he is.
Yeah, he is losing time bad to Austin Cobb right now, and Joshua Jackson has just been pushing nonstop since he got those tires, trying to get that third position, trying to get that second position away from Patty Armstrong to put himself in the best scenario possible going forward.
Leader of the prototype field is closing in on these two drivers here. Maybe that's going to add a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe when Reagan Carty catches up to these two, maybe Joshua Jackson can maybe sneak a position here, depending on how the traffic plays out for these two guys. But you can see Joshua Jackson now is starting to slip back. I have a feeling that Patty has taken some tires on that car and has taken a lap or two to get him heated back up.
And it didn't come up in the headlines as we were looking at it before. We made mention of it a couple times, but Reagan Carty has, in fact, lapped the entire field to this point. He got past Sigmund earlier, who's going to want to try and get that lap back, and he's making his way through the GT3s right now, as Joshua Jackson's still hampering that Mercedes, that Patty Armstrong machine. Armstrong held up a little bit behind Carty as they get through the sector here, going through towards the front stretch.
Yeah, and like I said, based on where these guys pitted, I would say Joshua Jackson's only about 5 minutes away from his stop, so maybe 2 or 3 more laps, as these guys are knocking about 1.5 minutes a lap, 1:24 or so. Track is starting to heat up a little bit, but it's only 82 degrees, and it's 10:30 in the morning sim time, so it hasn't totally got super hot out there. There's still a lot of grip out there for these guys to race with. But this is the best battle that we're having right now between all the cars and the two classes. See Jamie Lipke back there in her prototype closing in on the back of these two. Jamie Lipke just not having the night that she wanted to have, but she's currently running in fourth, still second in points, and anything could happen. There's still a lot of racing left in this thing.
Yep, an hour and 15 minutes. A little less than that remaining in this race, with Lipke looking to sight their way up through the GT3s here, interrupting this battle at least a little bit to this point, just trying to hold on to as much track position as they can and getting around Patty Armstrong to try and chase down the 0-2 of Jason Kristen further ahead.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. I'm curious, Jason Kristen, because Jamie Lipke has now finally got herself sorted out between the rest of the field. Her and Bill Mulfield they were on the same lap as the GT3 cars for a while. They finally were able to lap the GT3 field just recently, so put them ahead. But that's who Jamie is looking at, Jason Kristen there. And has got a lap to make up on Jason Kristen, it looks like, according to my timing and scoring. So looks like Jamie Lipke's 2 laps down, Jason Kristen down 1. So, but I don't see the gap actually, so that's where my problem is, I guess. 26 seconds it looks like.
And if you want to take a look at there's a little bit of a skill gulf right now as we're seeing in the GTP class. Reagan Carty's last lap was a 1:17.6. Billy Sigmund's was a 1:19.1. Carty's fastest lap is 2 seconds faster than the second place GTP, so he is just smooth sailing right now and hoping that he doesn't run into any issues to try and grab, I think this will be win number 7 on the season for him?
Yeah, it's going to be close to that. So he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 7 races. So definitely is one of those top contenders out there. It's a shame that we lost Hector Collazo because I'm sure that Hector would have had something for Reagan tonight, but had that incident with one of the GT3 cars, and that put him out of the race. And so Reagan Carty's pretty much running out there unopposed right now as we're looking at Bill Molefield currently running up there in the 5th position. Like you said, we had him on the podium here recently, so that was a lot of fun. I'd like to see him do that once again, but I don't know. That's going to be tall order for Bill tonight.
That's a tough mountain to climb, especially with that deficit that he's fighting through right now. Austin Cobb still holding on to that GT3 lead, now 11.2 seconds over Patty Armstrong. Armstrong still has Joshua Jackson within a second. Jackson hasn't pulled it into the pits yet, but he's going to have to make something happen soon because he's currently on a 25-lap stint, and he is going to be a little low when it comes to his stop later on, as we got another black flag on track. That's on a Softic with the second black flag of the session. And he's going to have to make that penalty.
Well, I'll tell you what, while we watch these guys, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're at the halfway point. We'll be back, and we're going to close out this race after we take a little break on this long 2-hour race that we're having here tonight.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
And we are back live here at the Indianapolis Road Course as we just watched Patty Armstrong go around the lap car of Christopher Heiner there, one of those drivers we haven't talked about, Christopher Heiner back there in that Corvette. Welcome everybody back to our 2-hour special. Double the points, double the race here. These guys are getting it done. Patty Armstrong trying to recover from a mistake that Patty had during the pit stop cycle. We didn't catch it, but it looks like maybe got off on the grass, and that explains why he ended up 10 or so seconds behind our leader, Austin Cobb, when those two drivers were running nose to tail there, Jacob. So Patty's got that 10-second deficit now to make up. We'll see. He was a little bit faster there towards the closing laps of that last tire stint. So we'll see what he can do here for the next hour that we got left in this race.
And speaking of pit cycle, the only reason Patty Armstrong isn't being hounded by Joshua Jackson anymore is because he did pull it down for his second stop. He has made his second stop now and is currently sitting 4.5 seconds behind John Houchin for 5th, so he is gradually making up time. This strategy might pay off for him in the long run if he's able to catch back up to the leaders.
Yeah, man, it's hard to say. I'm still scratching my head about why he came on the pit lane 10 minutes into this race like he did, 13 minutes or so. But that said, you know, if we do get an extra lap thrown in this race, and it's all dependent on where the GTP crosses the line towards the end of this race, where it could have an extra lap, and maybe that extra lap will get them there because these GT3s have been pitting right at the 40-minute mark. So, like I said, it's 2 equal stops as long as all of them are making it to that 40-minute mark. And I don't know, our top 2 drivers definitely did make it. So I don't know. It's a wait and see. We'll have to see how that strategy plays out. But we do know also, as things heat up out there as we get into the afternoon or towards lunchtime here, that the fuel mileage will start degrading somewhat. And so that could have an effect on these GT3s. But it's all wait and see. We still got an hour to find out what that strategy is going to look like at the end of this thing.
Yep. And there aren't really very many close gaps on track as of right now, but once we hit that second frame for the pit stops, it's going to tighten up a little bit at the very least.
2 cars in the wall, the 236 and Alexander Sexauer, and DJ Patterson both in the wall in turn 14. So
McCarty.
That's DJ Patterson goes around in turn 14, and this is one of those tricky sections of the track here. See that McLaren getting it around, and if you don't have enough rear wing in that car, you got to be very careful on the accelerator here. And that car just comes around for him and right ahead or right into that outside wall. And then Sexauer follows suit. I'm not sure what happened to Sexauer right behind DJ here. You can see Sexauer just recovering it back fascia, missing off that Corvette, but we're taking another look here.
You lose it in the opposite fashion. Like he cuts a little bit too much of the curb off of there, tries and pull it out of this section here, and then, yeah, he just loses the rear end, but overcooks it. As opposed to pulling it into the inside wall, he claps the outside wall, loses his rear bumper. Thankfully, that's off the track, but he gets going as well. And then you got a GTP leader having to go through both of them.
Yeah. And speaking of Sexauer, and our leader there makes it through, but Sexauer is struggling getting that Corvette back to pit lane. Rear end is all kinds of knocked out on that car. Came to a stop again. The car is driving down the track sideways. He can barely hang on to it. Trying to nurse that thing home to pit lane, get that thing repaired. I don't believe he has used his quick repair, so he'll be able to get that car repaired and get back out there.
Yep, he's trying to keep it as clean as he can to try and use that fast repair to get his car fixed. However, it's going to be a little bit of an issue trying to get onto pit road, which he manages to hit the entry. Let's see if he gets it back down enough to get it onto pit road proper here. Okay, it looks like he's good to go.
Yeah, he's going to make it to pit lane and hopefully get that thing repaired. And he was currently running in the 8th position. He's probably going to give that up, but there isn't too many more cars. You got Anna Softic back there currently running in 9th. That's the next car that's going to probably pass Sexauer as Anna Softic is going by pit lane, headed towards turn 14 now. Oh, excuse me. I might be messed up on my... Yeah, I am. He is actually back on the back half of the track through the S's. Looking at where Anna Softic is, running that BMW there, that purple and blue one just on your screen there. So I believe that Sexauer will be able to get that car. If he's got the quick repair, should be able to stay ahead of Honest. But that's going to mess up his pit cycle. Sexauer is taking tires on that machine. He's actually headed back out at the moment. So car's all repaired. He is going to maintain that position. But it looks like we might have a battle as Honest is coming around here. The final couple of corners. Trying to run down Sexauer. And it doesn't look like he's going to be anywhere close at the moment. He's got Jason Kristen in that prototype just behind him.
And opts to run off of the track to let that GTP by. And now he's got the BMW. That's Timothy Wilms still running in the 4th position. Lets his fellow BMW by and gonna tuck right back in behind him off of the front stretch here.
Yeah, so, you know, we were talking about Anna Softic and Alexander Sexauer. Those drivers having issues here tonight. Both those drivers are SimRig recipients as well there when they got their GTR simulators that they're running out there. Fairly new to iRacing, new to the league, so welcome to have these two guys on board. And if they keep it up, they're going to be racing each other by the end of this thing.
Yep, it's going to be neck and neck by the time those two get through the final set of those pit stops. Meanwhile, looking just behind Honest here, on track, Joshua Jackson has moved his way up into the 5th position past John Houchin. Going to be trying to track down that other BMW ahead of Timothy Williams to get that position and then make that charge back to the leaders like we saw him make before.
Yeah, on that different pit strategy, and you can see our leader there, that he's in danger of going a lap down from Austin Cobb. I seen Austin Cobb just back there in the background, slowly approaching there, Joshua Jackson there. Looks like, I don't know, 5-6 seconds behind him, but won't be long before Joshua Jackson goes a lap down. But he isn't thinking about that right now. He's thinking about Timothy Williams just ahead of him. And he has been gaining significantly as we have another car off track there. And it looks like Honest Softic will tow that to pit lane. So Honest having some issues out there as well.
And Honest has decided to call it a night after that one. He's been having a little bit of issues getting around this track. And he made it an hour, which if it were any other week, it would have been full time. However, we got an hour to go here, so he is going to lock himself into a top 10 at the very least. DJ Patterson's likely going to get past him by the end of this one, but it's a bit of a learning curve when it comes to this track in particular, it looks like.
Absolutely. You can see Austin Cobb back there in the distance, closing in on Joshua Jackson there. Got a car in between him there. Timothy Williams is going to try to hold off Joshua Jackson, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Joshua is coming up fast, only 2 seconds now. Was 4 seconds just a lap ago, so that's just how much faster that Joshua Jackson is running down Timothy Williams. John Houchin running currently in 6th, having a strong night out there. So Houchin, we haven't talked about him all night long, but you can see him back there in that yellow and black Porsche, doing a great job out there. So currently running in that 6th position, about to go a lap down to our leader though, but Austin Cobb is right behind him, just a second back. So Austin Cobb about to put the 6th place GT3 car a lap down.
Yep, another great performance by Austin Cobb. Almost entirely flawless run that we've seen here from the 42 once again, as Joshua Jackson is closing in on the 86 of Timothy Williams. They got 6 Hour just in front, and that might be the pinch that Jackson needs to get that position off of the BMW. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and it looks like that BMW of Timothy Williams is going to catch 6 Hour probably in the worst possible place here coming into the S's. And you can see 6 Hour gets on the brakes a little early, and that causes Williams to really have to check up on that BMW. Joshua Jackson right there now. And he's going to have to hold up on that BMW. You're going to have to wait for them to get on a little bit more. Oh, and 6 Hour goes around. So 6 Hour probably was watching his mirror, not watching what was going on in front of him. That's going to allow Joshua Jackson to get to the inside. It's going to beat him down into the next corner here. And Joshua Jackson is going to move himself up into that 4th position.
Gets that position off of Timothy Williams. Williams still having a great day in spite of that. A little bit of a oh no moment with 6 Hour going around in front of him, but Williams does keep in it, and he is going to likely pull out this top 5 by the end of this one.
Yeah, doing a great job out there. Congrats to him in that 66 Porsche. Now you can just follow Joshua Jackson there and figure out what he's doing and try to pick up some speed there. Timothy Williams, in the BMW, in that MK Fire Design BMW, who's our sponsor here tonight in this road course series, has been for the last few seasons. So we're proud to have MK Fire Designs on board with us, and Timothy Williams carrying that logo out there tonight. MK Fire Designs, one of those great first responder companies run by a firefighter, makes custom wooden flags out there. If you guys haven't checked it out, go online, check out the Discord out there. Has got some pictures. He also made a wooden carve out a Phoenix racetrack for a giveaway for one of our championship winners last season. So very talented and a first responder. So make sure you guys check out MK Fire Designs. They do great at helping our community here at Goat Locker Racing. So we would appreciate it if you go help them out, help our sponsors out. It's always much appreciated here at Goat Locker Racing.
I'm very glad that we were able to put on a good show for them with this series in particular, and it's just glad to see. I'm just glad to see all of the sponsors that Goat Locker has on board, and the quality of entertainment put on by everybody here at V Speed that works on the production and the commentary and just overall presentation of everything that we put on here at Goat Locker. It's really good to see.
Well, you've been watching our leader of the prototype field there, Reagan Carty, no surprise. Lost Hector Collazo, and he is just literally putting a beat down on the field. But as we go to camera on him, he goes off track there. But he is so far ahead. That's no sweat, no pressure. Just don't put it in the wall. Get it gathered back up. And I guess there was a little bit of commentator's curse. I'm going to call that the producer's curse, because the producer put the camera on him and sent that car off into the grass. Did a little bit of landscaping out there. I don't know, maybe he should work for Green Up instead of the sponsor he has on that car.
Unfortunately, having seen what we saw earlier, I was a little bit concerned that he might just park it after that one. But he is back on track, and he is still trying to put this field as many laps down as he can, as he cuts very close in front of the Porsche of Joshua Jackson. Gets clear, but that might have been a little too close for comfort from the 70.
Yeah, both those drivers are talented drivers. I think at this point in the season, they probably both know how each other operates. As we watch Jamie Lipke having some more struggles out there in her prototype, going back to the V-Speed instant replay. Going down the front stretch here, headed towards turn one. Got Jason Kristen just behind her. We'll see what happened. I think she might have made the pass on Jason Kristen. And then something happened here going into turn one. Yeah, just hot on the brakes, maybe a little bit too much rear bias in that. And that car comes around. And that's one of the interesting things there about the prototypes there, Jacob, is you're going down that front stretch and you just got a ton of downforce on that car. And then you get into the braking zone, you're hard on the brakes. And then as the car slows down, you run out of downforce. And then there's nothing holding down on those rear tires, and it just sends that car around. So I think that's exactly what happened to Jamie Lipke. And now she's going to have to go back to work and put those gloves back on and try to run Kristen back down once again.
I think those tires a little too warm after that half spin that they saw, or they had a little bit further back, as you saw them get a little bit squirrely into the entrance of one of those corners there, and they're on the way down the front stretch trying to make up what ground they can. Another penalty on track. Alexander Sexauer in the 333. For incidents, he is going in to serve that now, and that has been cleared. So he is free to go from this point on. He's going to have 3 laps over DJ Patterson for that 8th position that he is currently sitting in.
Looking at Jason Kristen right now running in that last podium spot. Still having a solid night out there. Did give it up to Jamie Lipke there momentarily, and then Jamie had to give it back after that spin going into turn one. I expect these prototypes to be on pit lane at any time at this point, because they're past the halfway point. They came in about 32 minutes in, if I remember right. So they can only just go maybe 32, 35 minutes. So I expect to start seeing our prototypes back on pit lane and seeing some racing happen in between some of the drivers out there. Maybe Jamie can make it up on pit road.
Jason Kristen looking to hammer out the rest of this race and get to the finish of this one, get to a podium position. However, it looks like he might be catching the 64 Billy Sigmund. He's 3.5 seconds back, at least according to our tracker here. Is that showing right?
Yeah, doing a fantastic job out there. And you know, for Jason Kristen, I was just looking at how many laps he had on the tires. He's got 23 laps since his last pit stop, and so like I said, I expect these drivers on pit lane. So about the time these guys are going to close the distance, I imagine they're going to be getting some fuel in these prototypes. But Billy Sigmund's now finally maybe going to feel some pressure. He hasn't felt any pressure since the start of this race. as Jason Kristen is definitely reeling Billy Sigmund in. Like I said, just about 3.5, almost 4 seconds back there, going through turn 14. It looks like maybe, oh, I thought Jason hit pit lane, but nope. Still trying to run that 0-2 down, or that 64 machine of Billy Sigmund.
The 0-2 is turning it on right now. Sigmund has been cemented in P2 since Hector Collazo went off, and he is holding together, and he's just trying to get to the end of this one to hammer out this solid result. Haven't seen him on track in the GTP all too often. I think he picked it up towards the back half of this season. He was in a GT3 earlier on and didn't do too bad in that either. So he is not going to be too disappointed with the P2 here, I am sure.
Christopher Heiner, who is currently running in 7th in the GT3 field, has came in for the second stop of the night, bringing that car down pit road, going to get that thing serviced, maybe get some tires, get some fuel in that thing. We'll see if it goes up. It does. Now, these drivers do have a choice of whether they want to take any tire they want, either fronts, rears, lefts or rights, or even one tire. So I don't know how many tires he's going to put on that machine. If you take 4 tires, you're pretty much going to guarantee yourself you're going to be on pit lane for at least 14 seconds. So it doesn't hurt as far as time, but getting the tires warmed up afterwards is the struggle here. But going to watch this driver exit pit lane here momentarily. Got that thing fueled up, taking a lot of fuel on board. 31 seconds, a little slow compared to other drivers out there tonight. That tank might have been really dry. Still holding on to the 7th position though, so hasn't given up any positions. That's how far these guys are spread out tonight.
Yep, getting back going after that pit stop. And it makes me wonder, Joshua Jackson's strategy, is he going to try and get onto the same pit lap as everybody else, but because he's not putting as much fuel in it, is he going to have that just a little bit more of a gap just close on the front cars in that class, or is it just a little too far gone at this point?
Well, I don't know. That's one thing I'm having a hard time with these 2-hour races, just getting the fuel strategy in my head. To me, he's kind of shot himself in the foot, but I don't know. You see like somebody like Heiner coming in, it's a little early. If the other drivers have to come in early like that, then that could work out very nicely for Joshua Jackson, but we'll have to wait and see. Right now I'm watching, you're watching Jamie Lipke and Heiner there. Jamie Lipke trying to find a way around, and she does. Kind of keeping my eye on Reagan Carty here to see if he goes on to pit lane here this time by, because I think he should be due. Nope, he's going to pass it up once again. So 26 laps on this stint, it would be now 27.
You know who didn't pass it up that first time? As you can see, Billy Sigmund is on pit lane right now for his, would this be a little early, or would it be, or would he need to make another stop? Well, you would need to make another stop after this, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to need one more stop. As I watched the car just behind him there, I want to say that was, who was that? There was a McLaren or a Corvette there that got on the inside retaining wall there. Didn't quite catch who that was, but Milfold goes around there on the V-Speed instant replay. We watched that. No damage. Going to get that car back out there. But Bill's starting to struggle as those, he tows it.
Yeah, and I think that may be day done for trying to fight for that 4th spot. And unfortunately, that is going to put Bill Mofield back a little bit further than he would probably like to be right now. Reagan Carty's still with a commanding lead over this entire class. As we have another black flag that just came through. Alexander Sexauer with a second penalty. Looks like 4 incidents as he is stopped in the grass toward the middle sector here. And he is going to try and get back going here shortly. And he is on track as we're going to take another look at what happened here.
Going down the front stretch here into turn 1. Hard on the binders. Car isn't slowing down, just going to overshoot the runway a little bit there. Swings it out wide, still holding on to it, but this is a very slippery section of the track, and sure enough, sends that car around. Had the leader of the GT3 field go by there. You've seen Austin Cobb go by just behind him when that happened. But two of our leaders on pit lane. Jason Kristen is the one I'm most interested in, as Reagan Carty just passes him in his box. You can see that Jason Kristen is up on the jacks. We'll have to wait and see because he is battling Billy Sigmund. I'm going to be interested to see where he comes out in all this. And you can see Reagan Carty getting his service done, the tires up. So Jason Kristen is away, and here comes Billy Sigmund. They're going to race down into turn 1. And it looks like Jason Kristen might hold on. No, Jason Kristen, they're side by side going through 1 on the exit there of pit lane. And Billy Sigmund is going to hold on for now. Billy Sigmund's got a 1 lap more on his tires, so there's a little more heat. And that's definitely going to be a disadvantage for Jason Kristen. All this is happening in front of our leader of the GT3 field, Austin Cobb. He's like, oh my God, what did I got myself into there for a second?
Yeah, Kristen doing everything to try and get some heat back into those tires so he can catch up to Sigmund, because this is for position right now. Overcooks that corner, gets a little too much of the grass, and that is not what you want to do trying to get back up to speed, as he has already dropped a little over 2 seconds to Billy Sigmund as of right now.
Yeah, he's doing a great job overall, though. It's very easy. You've been racing for the last 30 minutes on hot tires, and then you come on pit lane, and you got to tell yourself, tires are cold, tires are cold. Made that slight little bobble there. He's now 3 seconds behind, but you got to remember that Billy has got those fresher, or not fresher tires, but hotter tires on, so is definitely going to be able to make up some time. And once those tires equalize, we'll have to see if Jason can run him back down. Now almost 4 seconds, but it can be done. We've seen Jason working on it before, so ever slow, ever closer and ever slower, however you want to say it. Jason Kristen's trying to get into this position here, tried to steal a second away from Billy here.
Yep, trying to play spoiler and get himself up another step on that podium. Speaking of podium, it is still set for the GT3s. Austin Cobb, Patty Armstrong 12 seconds behind him. Samuel Joseph 14 seconds behind him, as Joshua Jackson is almost 50 seconds behind the third place car of Samuel Joseph. And we might I don't know if we've encountered this previously, but Samuel Joseph might be our first driver to get a podium interview for both the GTP and GT3 this season.
That's an interesting stat. I never thought about that. We'll have to see if he can hang on to it here for the rest of the night. But yeah, good luck to Samuel on that. Switching back, he started the season in the GT3s and then moved over to the prototypes, and that's part of the reason he's a little bit further down in the points, because of course when you change your series, you don't get credit for the points in the other series that you were running in, and so unfortunately he went back to the GT3s. GT3s are obviously a little easier to drive, but there is a different type of technique to be good at these things, and Samuel's doing a great job in his Mercedes out there, currently running in that position, but he's going to have to pay attention to Joshua Jackson. Joshua Jackson is very clever at finding his way up front as the race progresses along here. Jamie Lipke just came out of her pit stall, and you can see there that Sammy Joseph was working on her really quick, but she's getting those tires warmed up. Is going to pull away now, but Jamie's got her service done, and it's all a matter of waiting this thing out and how this pit cycle is going to play out for Joshua Jackson. And meanwhile, there was another car. It looks like John Houchin has entered pit lane, and he's going to get his service done on his machine. You can see that Porsche up in the air, getting some tires on that, and he'll be out momentarily. Let's see, Houchin was running in the 6th position and will likely hold on to that. I don't see anybody nearby. Christopher Heiner is in 7th and is quite a ways back at the moment, just looking at where Heiner is on the track. Yeah, Heiner is there on the backside going through the S's, so definitely not going to lose that position getting that service done for that 6th place car of John Houchin. Well, I think while we got a little bit of a break in the action, well, actually, as I say that, looking at Christopher Heiner here, oh, he's working on a lap car there. It's a lap car of DJ Patterson back there in that McLaren. I was going to talk about another one of our sponsors, and that would be Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers in a supporting, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They're one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses. They're the title sponsor of the Spring Series and a very large partner of Goat Locker Racing. Proud to have Lincoln Tech on board with us here tonight. A great school for learning that technical trade out there. A lot of these guys out here, they race virtual race cars, and they also race real, some of them race real race cars. So anything that you can do that helps, Lincoln Tech is there for it as well.
Sponsor of our Saturday IndyCar series, was a sponsor for the entire fall season last year, and looking forward to I'm eagerly anticipating seeing them on board for years to come with Goat Locker. They've been a consistent partner, and Goat Locker showed down to a lot of their events, including the car shows. There's some other expos that Goat Locker has been graciously been a part of, just showing out and just helping the sponsors in any way they can as well.
Well, here's what I've noticed. Looking back, I'm expecting the GT3s to start making their field or their pit stops here any moment now, as we're down to the 40-minute mark. So that's telling the story there, as we're looking at Joshua Jackson there, who came on pit road earlier, currently running in fourth, all that said, but came in 10 minutes into this race, got service done. But with these cars able to go with 40 minutes to go, I don't know that strategy is going to work out too well for him. He's going to have to just race his way up to the podium, try to race down Sammy Yosef. And we'll have to see. Sammy Yosef quite a ways ahead of him. So I don't know if he's going to be able to get that done, but that's the situation he's looking at currently.
I'm still curious to see whether or not Jackson tries to pull it in with the rest of the Elite Lab GT3s to try and, put a little bit more of that strategy to work, because he's currently sitting a minute and 17 seconds behind our leader of Austin Cobb. In fact, you can see him in the background there. But just to try and cut out of that lead a little bit, just off of the strategy call alone. And it's not outside the realm of possibility, but it is looking more and more unlikely as he loses time to Austin Cobb as the laps tick down.
Well, the one thing he's got is we're watching Sammy Yosef head to his pit box, headed down pit lane. So that's first of our GT3 leaders headed to pit road right at the 40-minute mark. But the one advantage that Joshua Jackson has is he is going to have to take less fuel. Doesn't have to take as much fuel as these other guys, because he's going to be able to stay out there 10, 15 minutes longer than everyone else. So his stop, just by that very nature, is going to be faster. And really the only person that he can really do anything with potentially is Sammy Yosef. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I don't know. He's still quite a ways back there, as I'm watching Joshua Jackson right now go through the final couple of corners here. And this is where the pit road entry is. So he's just now passing pit road entry. I don't expect him on. Yeah, sure enough, he doesn't take it. He's going to be able to stay out, like I said, 10 and 15 minutes longer and get a whole lot less fuel than Sammy Yosef. But is it enough? That's going to be the big question. And it looks like Sammy Yosef, he's going to come in potentially right behind Sammy Yosef, or maybe a second or two just behind him, as Sammy is going to have to get his tires warmed back up. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I don't see it working out for him.
A lot of million-dollar questions being asked about the strategy calls of Joshua Jackson in particular. He's currently sitting in that third spot, but he will have to make that pit stop sooner or later, as will the rest of the field. Patty Armstrong looks to have made theirs. Sammy Yosef, Joshua Jackson with that second stop earlier. John Houchin still, he made that stop as well. Austin Cobb and Timothy Wilms, the only two GT3s, in fact, the only two cars on track that have not made it into the pits, and that is a Mercedes off track, and that looks to be, that is the 36 of Samuel Yosef having a moment.
Well, that could definitely help out for Joshua Jackson if he continues to have those moments, maybe to move up into that podium position as we go back to the V-Speed instant replay and see exactly what happened here. But I think this happened on the back straightaway going through the last couple of this turn 6. Yeah. So this final chicane here, maybe a little too much curb. We're going to watch. Oh, just cold tires. Rear comes around. Oh, he does a big header on the inside wall. I didn't catch that before, but there's going to be a lot of damage on that Mercedes.
It doesn't look visual right now. Maybe a little bit of scuffing on the right, on the left front, but that left front suspension has got to be hurting.
He stayed out, so he's elected not to come onto pit road and get that thing fixed. Joshua Jackson now ahead of him. That's an interesting call. You know that car is definitely going to be hurt on the straightaways. I wonder if that wheel is tracking straight. I wonder if we could ride on board and see if he's got a straight wheel on that car, but doesn't. Surprisingly, it just looks like it's handling okay at the moment here. We're riding on board with Sammy Yosef. We'll have to wait till he gets to the straighter portion of the track. And this is the same section where he lost it. This very next corner, he came up here and the rear end got away from him right here. He went into that wall just ahead of him there and able to keep it straight. But the wheel looks straight there, Jacob. So I don't see any suspension damage. So the only thing I can imagine is maybe a little bit of aero damage.
Yeah, you can see it may just be something graphical, but he has got an oil pressure warning as well. And he is also going 0 miles an hour despite what our overlay says. So I think the end car might be a little bit, I think the car itself might have a little bit of damage from that wreck. It may not be obvious on the outside, but it is struggling by the looks of it.
Yeah, and definitely what Houchin wants to see. Houchin currently, or excuse me, not Houchin, but Joshua Jackson. Joshua Jackson now in that last podium spot with the unusual pit strategy. So we believe that Sammy Yosef has made his final pit stop of the night. But Joshua Jackson now closing in on the second place position there, Patty Armstrong. And I'm not sure how that even happened. Patty must have came down on pit lane. Yeah, he did. Patty came down just 2 laps ago, got his service done on that Mercedes. And Joshua Jackson is there. But Joshua Jackson within the next 5 to 10 minutes is going to have to make his final stop of the night. So, you know, maybe he can get a little TV time out here and battle for second. But right now, I think his battle is going to be with Sammy Yosef. Sammy Yosef 24 seconds behind. So if he can get an incredibly fast pit stop, but, you know, just driving down pit lane is probably 30 seconds, not to mention the time you spend in your box. I think Samuel is going to be able to get back by, but I'm not sure how much damage that Samuel has. So that's kind of what's probably Joshua Jackson's thinking about. Hopefully Samuel is running back. I'm watching the lap times right now. It doesn't seem like Joshua Jackson's opening a bigger gap on Sammy Yosef. Still Sammy Yosef 24 seconds back, and that is still pretty stable. So we'll have to see how this all.
And a surprise development in the GTP class, we have lost Billy Sigmund for network issues. So one of our key podium contenders all night, running second all race, has just dropped due to a connection issue, and he is going to have to try and pull that back from the pits. Jason Kristen has inherited the second place spot. Jamie Libke is going to be trying to fight for that third spot on the podium, and they're going to get past him right now as Sigmund is rejoining and trying to get back on track.
What an incredible change of events for Billy Sigmund. I was kind of looking forward to that. You know, I'm happy with Jason Kristen's performance tonight, but I wanted to see those two guys go at it as we're watching Jamie Libke make her way around the track. But that's so unfortunate. DJ Patterson now on pit lane. I think DJ was running in the 9th position, going to get service on his GT3, but watching Jamie come around, try to get back, make her way back up to a podium position. Billy Sigmund still off, hasn't connected there. I don't see a connection there for Billy Sigmund. So Jamie Libke now in that podium spot. And imagine that, second in points, maybe trying to limit the damage here. And maybe if Reagan Carty gets the win here tonight, she can maybe get some luck next week going into the final race there at Watkins Glen. And I expect kind of a large turnout next week with Watkins Glen being the last race of the season. And that could definitely affect some of our playoff contenders.
And I will say, despite this race or these races in particular, 2 hours, throw in a little bit of the strung out, more opting for fuel strategy as opposed to just straight racing. We have been encountering some of the bizarre here. We haven't had a lot of penalties come through, but we have had a few disconnections, some for packet loss, some for just getting off track once and then just bailing it to the garage because you've already spent 5 minutes turn around. You don't want to spend another 2 hours doing the same thing. Billy Sigmund is going to try and fight that gap as best he can. He's 7.5 seconds behind Libke as of right now to challenge for that third spot on the podium, and that may be a developing story we have to catch up on later.
Still a lot of time, 30 minutes left in this race, so I believe that Billy probably can do it. Got that car out there. You know, the other thing is when he came back in, I'm not sure how that works. You know, when he came back in, whether he was able to like complete his last stop, these cars have been going to like the 31, 33 minute mark for these prototypes. So it could be Billy Sigmund's last stop as we see Joshua Jackson now headed to pit lane to get his final service done of the night. Alexander Sexauer on pit lane as well. But Joshua Jackson now going to give up his position, and I think he's going to give it back up to Sammy Yosef when he comes out. We'll have to wait and see. But Yosef going by right now.
Yep, went by right then, and Jackson with the. I think that
Excuse me,
You
I
miss
was wrong.
100%.
Oh,
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This had to have been a swing and a miss.
yeah. Well, you know, it's too bad we won't. Well, we still could have him on the podium, and it would be fun to talk to him and figure out what was going through his mind there on that first stop. But definitely one of those stronger drivers out there. And maybe, like I said, the race isn't over yet. We'll have to see what happens. But right now, he's currently looking at a fourth place position if he can hold on to it. And provided the top three don't make any mistakes, Austin Cobb just running away with this thing. He's going to come out just ahead of our leader, Austin Cobb. Austin Cobb just dominating with another strong performance here once again in this GT3 field. Pretty much, I think he's one lap on the whole field at this point.
Yep, Jamie Libke taking it down pit road for their final stop. As it seems right now, they've only gone 10 laps on these tires, but Billy Sigmund does inherit that third spot on the podium again, having made 3 stops of his own. And that is going to be an interesting development as we see some sand having been kicked up through there. It looks like somebody ended up recently rejoining the track. It might have been DJ Patterson, who not only is in the front of the frame there, he currently has a penalty for incident points. So he is going to have to pull that down pit road.
So, you know, I don't know if you know this, Jacob, but I mentioned it before. You know, with Billy Sigmund coming back in, does he come back in with new tires and a full tank of fuel after having that disconnect? Because that's the real issue for Billy is he going to be able to go the distance? Because he came back in with 31 minutes to go, and that's about the distance that these prototypes could go. Do you have any insight on that? I'm going to guess that my partner in crime out there doesn't have any insight.
Well, I did, but my microphone is muted, so I guess we'll just.
No, I'm curious if you know. Just curious if you know if you come back in on a discount, if you come back in topped off, new tires and ready to go, or do you come back where you left off? That's all I was kind of wondering.
I don't know for certain. I would imagine, just because of how iRacing acts sometimes, that if you do get disconnected for some form of network issue, it functions like a tow when you come back in. So wherever you're at on track, it puts you into the pits, and then you get you're able to take your stop and just get in there, get your like it normally would be after a tow. You take your fast repair, you get your tires and your fuel after that timer is ticked down, which is what likely happened with Sigmund, as they have they ended up giving up all that time to Libke while they were trying to reconnect, and that time has kind of gone by the wayside right now because Lipke is 51 seconds behind Sigmund as of right now for that third spot.
Well, I guess we're all going to be here to find out as these guys getting around this place as we're watching a battle start to shape up here. Timothy Wilms and John Houchin there in the 66 machine, just behind in that Porsche you can see. So just about 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds back behind Timothy Wilms there. The battle for 5th position, the closest battle on the track at the moment. And John Houchin doing his best to try to run down there Timothy Wilms there for that 5th spot. Would like to get a top 5 here tonight. Both these drivers, we haven't mentioned them too much. We haven't seen them in a lot of incidents compared to some of our other drivers. But you can see Timothy or John Houchin now closing in a couple of tenths a second there on the straight as they go through turn 2 and 3 here. Slowly reeling in Timothy Wilms here. We'll have to see what he can do.
As you mentioned, this is going to be the closest battle on track. 1.8 seconds separates these two, and this is for a top 5. This is for something that's going to be marked down for just a total amount of like good finishes, and it's something worth fighting for at this point in the race. You've gone an hour and a half. We're in the final half hour of the race, so you know it's go time for a lot of these guys, and there's nothing better than hitting go time with something to go for.
We'll see as we're currently watching Houchin try to reel in that car. Houchin actually gave up another couple of tenths here on the backside. So I don't know if that's where the differences is in between these two cars, because you got the BMW running up front there in the front engine car, and then you got the rear engine car in that portion of John Houchin. We'll see. He's actually losing a little bit of time now to Timothy Wilms. As you see, Jason Kristen now closing in that prototype field, about to make hay with these two drivers. We got a car exiting pit lane. Some more GT3s getting their service done. Going to exit pit lane just ahead of these drivers here. Might have a little bit of an impact there. Kind of split Houchin and Wilms. So that's Christopher Heiner there that made his pit stop. You got Jason Kristen trying to find his way around. Of course, Jason isn't really battling anybody at the moment, so going to take his time getting around this GT3 traffic and not make any mistakes and try to hold on to that second place finish. A heck of a performance here tonight if he can get this done and bring it home.
Yep, keeping that second place that they inherited from Billy Sigmund. Christopher Heiner was serving a penalty for too many incident points just then, which pulled him from where he was on track. He's no longer trying to compete with Houchin for 6th. That went away earlier. So he is sewn up P7 as long as he doesn't have any more issues. He has taken his fast repair as well. So that is going to be the biggest thing for him, and the biggest thing for everybody and going into this last half hour is just get to the end without any more issues, as Jason Kristen has shown that he has been doing that the entirety of the race.
Well, I got a question for you, Jacob. Do you know who out there has the best pit crew?
I would like to take a stab at it and say GLR.
Yeah, I wonder how many drivers out there have the GLR, Goat Locker Racing pit crew. Well, I don't know. Well, I know I do. The GLR Pit Crew. The GLR Pit Crew program is a monthly giving initiative designed to provide consistent, meaningful support in our fight against PTSD, mental health struggles, and suicide in the veteran and first responder community. When you join, you're not just making a donation, you're becoming a part of a team that keeps the mission moving forward. Learn more and join today at goatlockerracing.org and click on the Pit Crew banner. So this pit crew thing is a really neat deal. It's a monthly subscription. You're helping out our first responders. You're helping out Goat Locker Racing, which of course is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. And it is very helpful to some of our first responders and veterans out there that are struggling. And it's kind of a cool deal out there that you're helping the program and being part of the Goat Locker team.
Not only that, once you sign up, you get a pretty damn cool T-shirt. That's exclusive to it's exclusive to Pit Crew members. So go ahead and go get you one.
Absolutely. Looking at Reagan Carty, just goes, our two leaders are together there momentarily there. That was Austin Cobb and Reagan Carty just ahead of him there. Reagan Carty putting the GT3 field another lap down there. Austin Cobb and Reagan Carty, two of the top performers here tonight, showing why they're the top two in points. There you see them both right there while we had them together, as Reagan Carty's starting to step away from Austin Cobb, but both these guys so dominant here tonight. Nobody had really Patty Armstrong put up a good fight there in the beginning of this thing for the first, 45 minutes. But after that pit cycle, Patty's just never been able to regain that loss. Now it's 17 seconds behind Austin Cobb, which, that's close by Austin Cobb standards. And Patty Armstrong, a strong driver himself, but Austin Cobb just able to run away with this thing per normal. Just He's on pace to chalk up another victory here once again tonight.
And that would put him in the rare air of only one other driver has marked 6 wins in the multi-class series this season, and that would be your current leader of the GTP class, Reagan Carty, who's trying to tack on a 7th. That's half the season worth of wins, Ken. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually. So some of these drivers, some guys just are really good at road course racing, really have a knack for it. And it's unfortunate that we lose some of these drivers. We've had some really close battles all season long, and then we get to the end of the season, and I think this is a lot of pressure. 2 hours here at Indy might have been a struggle for some of these drivers, but they've definitely put on a great season here so far. And I'm sure next week when we get to Watkins Glen is going to be another barn burner of a race. But two dominant drivers out there all season long, showing why they're the leader in the points. And speaking of leader in the points, Jamie Lipke was probably hoping that Reagan Carty wasn't going to show up tonight. Jamie Lipke 29 points back, actually a little bit further here tonight. The points are worth double, so if they finish where they're at now, Jamie Lipke's looking at losing maybe 50 or more points here tonight if she can't gain another position or two. So it's definitely going to hurt going into the last race of the season, but anything can happen when we get a large field there at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and if I'm Lipke right now, I'm going to be candid right here. If I'm Lipke right now and I'm seeing Reagan Carty running away with this race like they have been the entire time, I'm mad. Like, Jamie Lipke and Bill Mulfield are the only two drivers in any of the GTP or GT3 class that has shown up week in and week out, put in performances to get the points to where they're able to compete for this championship. Meanwhile, Carty has missed 4 races to this point and is still leading the points. So all they're doing is just piling back on top after missing a couple races, and that's frustrating. That's gotta be gutting.
Sex Hour just pulled the plug, and it's funny, if we could go back and watch Sex Hour. I don't know if we got a replay, or sorry about that, Jacob, but Sex Hour spun in the same place and decided to unplug his computer before he hit the wall. It's like, quickly unchecking those boxes before you tag the wall. You're going to watch this here, going through the final couple of corners here. But Sex Hour had some problems on the track, and he has disconnected. Had no quick repairs left, so why not? And you got to respect that at least, because, by unplugging the computer or whatever he did, by getting rid of his connection. Yeah, he was holding up the leader there, Reagan Carty. But you'll see here in the next couple of corners, he'll lose the rear end, and before he tags the wall, that car just disappears off the track. So saves another trip to that outside retaining wall there, and saves face a little bit, although we're covering it here on the broadcast because we got nothing better to do. As he sends the rear end of that wrong, here comes the plug. I got it. I unplugged it. I made it. I'm out of here. So Sex Hour is done for the night. He was running 9th. Actually, that's probably where he'll finish, so at least he'll get a top 10. I don't believe there's any other cars on the track that were behind him, so that's a way to end the night, I guess.
Yep, you're already locked into that position. Might as well just keep it there. DJ Patterson is going to finish this race in P10. He's 8 laps behind Austin Cobb in the P8 position, and he is the last GT3 running on track. As we're watching Jamie Lipke under fire from Reagan Carty, trying to get them another lap down it's been a blowout from both classes thus far tonight. Not to the degree of what we're seeing from the GTPs with Cobb over Armstrong, but Carty is just running away with this as much as he can. And yeah, that was almost a little too close trying to get around the 16 of Jamie Libke there.
Yeah, and I'm currently watching as they get that battle sorted out for that lap car of Jamie Lipke. But I'm also, I'm keeping one eye on Billy Sigmund, who's got now 11 laps on since he came back in with that connection issue. Everybody else still got to make their final stop of the night. It isn't really going to make Billy Sigmund move up a position, but if he has to pit, he could lose his position to Jamie Lipke. And that could be something, although Jamie Lipke being quite a ways back, a minute now behind Billy Sigmund. I'm just curious if that car is going to be able to go the distance. It's kind of one of those things, but I think it's been out long enough now where I'm going to say he could probably go the distance, even though he probably won't gain a position, won't lose a position, but might be able to hang on to that podium even after having a disconnect. That's how far these guys are spread out tonight.
Carty and Kristen getting to that point once again where they may have to just make that splash and go, and it is not going to affect the finishing result whatsoever because Carty is 2 laps ahead of Kristen, who's a lap ahead of Sigmund, who is a minute ahead of Libke. So the finishing order for the GTPs is pretty much well done and dusted. 18 seconds is the gap between Patty Armstrong and Austin Cobb. Sammy Yosef is 40 seconds behind P2, and then everybody on back is at least 35 seconds behind the car in front in the GT3 field. So I think our finishing order is pretty well sewn up with this last 15 minutes coming up.
Yeah. So I guess we could talk about other things then. What did you have for lunch today there, Jacobs?
I didn't.
As we're watching Austin Cobb try to get around DJ Patterson there, put him another lap down. Oh, they get together there just as we were coming to it there. Now, Austin, you got to be careful there. You're leading this thing. You don't want to throw this thing away and trying to find a way around DJ there. And like I said, that's one of the trickiest places to pass here at Indy. And I usually never attempt it, and that's exactly why. It's got to be the most difficult place to pass. And DJ is going to let him go there on turn 14, the final corner, as they go down the front straight there. But we've seen Hector Collazo end his race there in that same corner with another GT3. So it's just one of those corners. You just got to wait no matter what. No matter how much time it costs you, you got to wait.
That almost changed the entire complexity of the GT3 field after an hour and 45 minutes. Austin Cobb barely made contact with the McLaren, if at all. I had to go in and check to see if he had any splitter damage. It doesn't look like he does, but that was too close for comfort, and that might have rattled Cobb a little bit.
Yeah, and this is where the fatigue sets in. They've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes, and you're probably getting hungry. You got to take a bathroom break, and your eyes are starting to water looking at a computer screen and driving this thing, and you're sweating. It's actually no small feat being out there for 2 hours, especially at a track like Indy. It's one of the more, I mean, you look at it's in full sun, and you might be in your air-conditioned room or whatever, but you're actually hot out there, and Indy has a way of working the sweat out of you here as Jason Kristen in that prototype goes by. Jason Kristen still holding on to second place. These prototypes are due on the pit lane, I would say, just about in the next lap or two. They've been going about 27, 26 laps. So we'll see these prototypes make their last stop. Most of the GT3s have made their last stop on the night. Speaking of which, we're looking at Joshua Jackson there on that strategy call that he made earlier. Joshua Jackson, 35 seconds behind Sammy Yosef, it looks like. So unless Samuel Yosef makes a mistake, Samuel will be able to hold on to that final podium position there. But Sammy Yosef came on the pit lane with 40 minutes to go. So, it's close on fuel, especially if they end up having to do another extra lap that they weren't counting on. But I have a feeling he's got enough fuel packed in that car to make it.
Yep, and that would be interesting to see if anybody does, but I would imagine nobody's going to try and pull it down there to get anything put back in it. They're good to go to the end. Jackson's got 5-lap fresher tires than Yosef does, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because he's not making up enough per lap to catch that P3 machine of Yosef. So it's going to take a miracle in the last 12 minutes here to get that car onto the podium and vindicate that strategy that we have been berating for the entirety of the race.
Well, speaking of that strategy, both those drivers, Joshua Jackson in the GT3 and Jamie Lipke in the prototype, both those drivers are second in points, and now they're currently running fourth in this race. And so they would like to make up some more positions and try to gain some on their competitors there, that being Austin Cobb and Reagan Carty, but probably hoping for a little bit better night. It's just not happening. And, you know, a top 5 is a great night most nights, but when you're at the end, towards the end of the championship here, and the guy that is beating you in points is knocking on another win, it can be rather deflating knowing that everything's going to depend on that very last race.
Getting that other win, plus with the double points here, you're compounding on top of that position's points already. So it may very well be done and dusted if they can't make up any ground in the last minutes here.
Well, Reagan Carty now still out there. Of course he is. 2 laps over everyone else. Just dominating per normal. I expect this prototype on pit lane here, maybe next lap or so, as he goes down the back straightaway to get his final stop of the night. Like I said, he's 2 laps over the entire field. So his closest competitor is Jason Kristen, who's 2 laps down. Hopefully it won't be 3 by the end of this thing, but just total domination out here once again now that he's back. We've missed him for the past, I don't know, it must be 3 or 4 races now. Able to come back, maintain the points lead, and just come out here with a dominating performance. Beating Hector Collazo, obviously, with Hector having that issue. Looks like Reagan Carty is now going to bring it down pit road, as I called, and get his final stop done on the night. I mean, he can do whatever he wants at this point. Just take a splash or put on 4 tires, do both. You know, he's got this thing in the bag as long as Lady Luck doesn't grab a hold of him and turn it the other way.
And I can't help but feel like we have been set up. I hate to use this term because it's been used a lot in my career and in my life, set up for failure. Because we have been told by so many people, oh, you got to watch that battle between these guys coming in, and it's going to be the main focus of the race tonight. And every single time somebody has approached us with that, one of them wrecks, and then everybody else goes through without issue. So there's no real major battles on track. We've had some great battles up at the end of some of these races. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was ecstatic for that battle that we saw at Monza. But a lot of the times, the people that we're being told to watch, somebody either just ends up losing it early, or the gulf is so wide that there's nothing really that can be done about it. But this series has still put on some great racing besides that.
Yeah, and that's part of road course racing a lot of times. We don't get cautions out here. So, you know, when you come out here, you got to have the mindset flag to flag, and that's your strategy. You can't make mistakes. You go out there, you run flag to flag, try not to make any mistakes, plan your strategy out, race the track, and what comes what may. And that's what we're seeing out here from Austin Cobb and Reagan Carty. Those 2 guys have put it on all season. And that's what happens. Like I said, they don't get the caution to gather the field back up and maybe get a second shot at it. You get one shot at this, and you got to get it right. And the best drivers, the most consistent drivers, are going to find their way up front each and every time. And yeah, they get battling hard, and sometimes we do have that separation. But man, we've had some great races out here this season, and this one might be maybe not the best out of all of them, but I would say every race that we've had this season has just been absolutely fantastic.
The one thing that I can say about it is there's always something to talk about when it comes to this racing, when it comes to the people that join these races and show up week in and week out and just do their best, which is all you can really ask for in a series like this. It's open setups. It's something that people maybe aren't completely comfortable with. Just trying to get the feel of a no-frills competitive series that maybe somebody's first or somebody's 30th or you're like trying to excel, or you're just out there putting laps in. And the whole basis of it is to just try and get as much running in as possible, as we're seeing Patty Armstrong get around the 5 of Christopher Heiner, which is, it looks like a close battle on track, but Armstrong is currently sitting in P2, Heiner sitting P7, 4 laps behind, as we're going to go to a replay as Bill Mulfield looks to have stopped it on track once again after maybe another spin.
Oh, just overshoots the turn 13 there, turn 12, and gathers it back up. But Mulfield, we had him on the podium, not having the night he wants to have. As a matter of fact, he's being scored with the GT3s. He isn't anywhere near anyone else. I mean, it's still a solid night. He is in the top 5, but probably not the night he had hoped for. This is a very difficult track, especially for the prototypes. It's just, you're going so fast, a lot of downforce, and then all of a sudden you don't have any downforce for the corners, and it's just up and down all night long. And these guys have really struggled, but one driver that hasn't struggled, and that's Reagan Carty up there, still continuing to do his diligence out there to win this thing, which he pretty much has it in the bag right now, being 2 laps up on everybody. Here in the next couple of laps, he's pretty much won this thing, even if he's, well, I shouldn't say crashed out, but like I said, he's got a 2-lap margin there if anything was to happen, as long as he doesn't total the car. He could probably wreck there, Jacob. He could probably wreck and tow it to pit lane and come back out with his quick repair and still win this thing. That's how far ahead he is.
Yeah, it pains me to think about, but I think the one thing that everybody is going to be glad to see after the end, or after about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, is going to be that white flag, because this has been drawing on for a lot of these drivers. The gaps have just been opening up further and further. Everybody's kind of equalized to the point where they're not really gaining, but they're not losing either. The closest battle on track is the first place battle for the GT3's Patty Armstrong, 21 seconds behind Austin Cobb. But that is about it right now, as it's just been domination from pole to flag for Reagan Carty and Austin Cobb in both disciplines. And they are going to sew up the win tonight, likely, and quite possibly both of their individual championships.
Yep. Definitely is putting a nail in the coffin, and it's going to be those other drivers' responsibility to try to pry that nail out next week. But, I say that anything can happen next week with a large group of drivers there at Watkins Glen. But, that same thing that I say that can happen to our leaders in the points could also happen to, the guys like Joshua Jackson and Jamie Lipke are in the second position. They might get knocked out next week, and we still have the same winners. That's just the way racing is. We're all here to find out. As I'm watching Billy Sigmund now work on the back of Jamie Lipke. Billy Sigmund, they're not on the same lap, obviously. Jamie is a lap or 2 further back, 1 lap behind Billy Sigmund. She's going to let him go there. They head down to the chicane here to the backstretch. But Billy Sigmund, it looks like he's going to be able to make it the distance here.
I think we might have lost Ken there, but Sigmund is able to get past Libke, still holding on to that final podium spot for the GTPs. Everybody rounding around the track, as I think we're going to be hitting 2 to go here when Carty gets to the line, as we're averaging about a minute 18 seconds per lap, and then the white flag is going to come out in a couple laps time with Carty taking that point. So we'll
see. They're not getting pretty lap to pick up. They're doing team Reagan Carty. It's going to be tight. It's going to be, I'm guessing, about 3 to go this time by. We'll see. And that's what I was talking about, doing that extra lap for some of these GT3s that might be struggling on field towards the end of this thing. It looks like Reagan Carty's going to cross the line right now with just about 3 minutes left. So, yeah, I'm going to say that's 3 to go. Next time by will be 2 to go, and that's where we'll have it. That's where this thing will set up. And the question is where is Austin Cobb on track compared to our leader? Austin Cobb is now coming into turn 12. So just about a half a lap back there. So I don't think, looks like those GT3s will actually have to run that extra lap that I was thinking they will. But I still think they'll probably be able to make it the distance. I'm just hoping for some type of strategy play or some type of weird call here at the end. But they probably will all make it. But it does look like the GT3s will have that additional lap that they'll have to contend with.
And we've seen people run out before. I think it was what got Mulfeld his maiden podium a couple of weeks ago with the third place runner, or the second place runner all day ended up running out of fuel on the last lap, and that stacked everybody else up further on the podium. The one that I'm looking at right now is Patty Armstrong. Just started his 26th lap in the GT3s. I am not sure we've seen anybody in the GT3s run that long to this point.
Yeah, and that could be good news for, well, I was going to say Sammy Yusuf. It could be, or Joshua Jackson, if that does play out that way. Reagan Carty now coming up onto the final corner there. Oh, excuse me, is going through 2 and 3. It already went through the final corner. So next time by, he will get the white flag, it looks like, based on time here. Got a minute 10 left on there. So he'll cross the start-finish line with about 15 seconds on the clock. And so that will run those GT3s one extra lap, as Reagan Carty will not, that I can see, will catch Austin Cobb. So we'll have to see how this all plays out for fuel, like you said, with Patty Armstrong being out there the longest. Sammy Yusuf as well out there on 26 laps. So Austin Cobb 24 laps and Joshua Jackson only 20 laps. Obviously he can make it. Reagan Carty now passing DJ Patterson going into turn 12 here. And here we go. Reagan Carty with another dominating performance. Waiting for that glove station white flag. Flagman has it furled in his hand, waiting for Reagan Carty to come by for one last lap here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. White flag is out for Reagan Carty. One more time around, and he's got this.
Meanwhile, Austin Cobb is about halfway through this lap right now, and he's still going to have that other one to finish up. Lap and a half to go for the GT3 lead. Reagan Carty now making his way into that middle sector. Might catch him if he ends up pushing a little harder.
Yeah, I can see him catching up to Joshua Jackson. That would end Joshua Jackson's night where he's at in the 4th position, which is probably where Joshua Jackson is going to end up. See Reagan Carty closing up on Patty Armstrong actually there in 2nd. So, well, actually Austin Cobb could be out there by his lonesome. This could end it if he does catch Patty here. That's going to end his night. So Reagan Carty now coming by for the last time. Got Patty Armstrong just ahead of him there. And we'll see if he's able to pass Patty before they get to the start-finish line. It looks like he possibly will. And that's going to end this. Oh, he overshoots the corner there. So Patty's going to have to do another lap more than likely. Reagan Carty gathers that thing back up for one final time. Coming through turn 14, Reagan Carty makes his grand appearance once again after missing the last 4 races. He's going to take home a victory here tonight at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Just an out-and-out beating by Reagan Carty on the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Austin Cobb now halfway through his lap in the middle sector now, and he is home free throughout the rest of this lap. Nobody's challenging him. He's 25 seconds ahead of Patty Armstrong. If he holds on here and if he doesn't make any mistakes here, he is going to get up and make that a 6th win in the GT3 series. Rounding through the final few corners into this left-hander, or out into the right-hander, around that left-hander, into the S's, and off onto the front stretch. Once again, Austin Cobb with a bar-setting 6th win in the GT3 class is going to win it at Indy.
Coming up next, 2nd place in the prototype field, Jason Kristen coming up to the last corner coming up through turn 14. He is going to grab 2nd place out there. Strong performance there by Jason. Billy Sigmund already crosses the line. He will lock in and secure his third place finish. Meanwhile, looking back at the Patty Armstrong crossing the line right now, second place, able to run that thing dry on fuel and bring that thing home for second place podium.
Sammy Yosef not much further behind as he is able to get it there and finish out the GT3 podium. And I think that might do it for the championships as they stand right now.
We'll see. We'll make sure he doesn't run out of fuel here. They are probably on a thin line here, having to run that extra lap. You can see we're an extra few minutes into this. And this is one of the things you got to be leery of, putting a little bit of extra fuel in that tank when you're running the GT3s, because you never know where those prototypes are going to cross the line. But here comes Sammy Yosef around for the final time, turn 14.
Just running it as far as he can, and does end up closing out that podium. So we will talk to him in a little bit.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with your results, and we're going to talk to our podium finishers. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org.
We're back live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with that finish we had here, second to the last race of the season. And of course, Reagan Carty comes out on top with the victory here tonight, going to pad that points lead. He was 29 points over Jamie Lipke. He's going to gain a bunch here tonight with double the points. So Reagan Carty is going to take firm control of that points lead. Jason Kristen with a strong night out here is going to finish second, and Billy Sigmund wraps out your top three. We're going to talk to those three guys here momentarily. Jamie Lipke will come home fourth. Bill Mofield with a strong finish there in fifth. And Hector Collazo, after quitting early on in this race, is going to come home dead last in the prototype field in sixth.
And for your GT3s, Austin Cobb with a mark-setting sixth win on the season. Patty Armstrong holding it down in that P2 position with Samuel Yosef rounding out your podium for the GT3s in his return to the GT3 series. Joshua Jackson finishes that out in fourth. Timothy Wilms holds down for a top five. John Houchin in sixth. Christopher Heiner finishes seventh. DJ Patterson in eighth. Alexander Sexauer in ninth. Anna Softic in 10th. Pat Nolan 11th. And Itamar Elimelech in P12 in class.
All right, well, I am standing by with our race winner in the prototypes. Reagan Carty, you're back after a 4-race absent. You were able to get it done here tonight. You had a hectic battle there for the first, 5 laps, but then after that, it was all yours. Talk about your race tonight.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I was expecting, Hector to keep up. Well, obviously, unfortunately, with what happened, I'm not actually too sure what happened to him, but I saw that he spun or got hit or something. But yeah, it was honestly pretty fun the first few laps, especially on cold tires, because I saw it especially at the start. He almost spun into me. I felt a little tap, and that was pretty fun, to be fair. But yeah, like you say, after that, it was just pretty smooth sailing. After that, just cruising along to the end.
Yeah, he ended up getting into the back of a GT3 car that broke a little earlier than he was probably expecting, so caused a lot of damage on that. But can we expect to see you here next week at Watkins Glen?
Fingers crossed. Yeah, just gonna have to free up my schedule because it's the last race. I really want to get there, especially because it's Watkins as well, and I'm pretty sure that me and Hector would have a very good race there.
Sure, you would. Well, who do you have to thank for getting his victory here tonight?
Once again, massive thanks to Throttle Works Racing for letting me race under their name and giving me a nice livery to race with as well, and for putting on this league of Lincoln Tech, Save 22, MK5 Design, and Zach Graphics, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, InVets, and ATYL. Thanks to them.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing what you can do out next week.
Sounds good. See you later.
See ya. That was Reagan Carty, our winner in the prototype field. Who do you have up for us next there?
Middle. Well, I have our winner for the 6th time this season, Austin Cobb. This is Jake Lanky in the booth. You got a copy?
Certainly do. How are you guys doing?
Well, that was it. It's our final 2-hour race of the season. I'm glad we don't have any more of those, but I am sad that the season is ending next week at Watkins Glen. And take us through your race tonight. There wasn't a lot of major events that happened to you. You had a little bit of a close call with a lap car, but outside of that, everybody got through it for the most part. Just take us through your race and what all went through your head through that first part.
Yeah, I was happy to be able to put it on pole position. I was running a pretty aggressive, like high downforce setup, so I almost got jumped on the start, just because I did not have any straight line speed. Um, but I got a push from Josh, and that kind of helped me out a ton. And I know Patty was on the outside, and I just wanted to try to stay ahead, and I managed to do it, managed the cold tires, and then just went into kind of fuel save mode. Took a slowdown toward the end of the first stint, and it let Patty get alongside again in turn one, and thankfully I was able to fend him off. I have no idea how I was able to do that because he was coming with a full head of steam and went right up the inside. I thought maybe he'd pinch me out, but he gave me plenty of room. It was very respectful racing, and yeah, just from there, it was just managing the close call with traffic. Totally my fault. Just kind of, I lifted pretty early to not do that, and then I forgot that there's a pedal on the left that slows the car down. So thankfully, we didn't take any damage, and we were good after that. But yeah, overall, pretty solid race. I love it here. I love this track. Really, really like the Corvette. It was glued to the surface today, so loved it.
Yes, sir. Great performance today. Looking for a last hurrah at Watkins Glen next week. Who do you have to thank for putting you on the top step of the podium?
Of course, yeah. Lincoln Tech, Save 22, MK Fire Design, ZAT Graphics, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, IN Vets, ATYL, and my other half for always supporting me through competing with you guys. It's very respectful racing. You guys put on a great show. It's very fun here. Very cool.
Yep, and we're glad that you're able to help us put that show on. Thank you for your time. Congrats on the win. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
All right, that was Austin Cobb. Ken, you're standing by with our second place finisher in the GTPs.
Jason, Chris, and Ken Huber, you got a copy?
Yep, I got you, Ken.
Hey, great job out there tonight. You get your second place finish. You're up here talking in the broadcast booth. How about that? Tell us about your race tonight.
Wow, this was completely unexpected. Kind of came out of left field for me. Honestly, I just tried to make as few mistakes as possible, and I got to give a huge thanks to Jamie Lipke for her help in this race. She helped me with the setup, and it handled beautifully.
Yeah, it looks like it really paid off for you. You were solid all night. We really didn't see any mistakes. So just like you said, just maximizing a good performance here tonight. Grabs you second, matches your car number there. Going into Watkins Glen, how do you feel about coming there next week?
I'm a
Going there, I
huge
should
fan of
say.
Watkins Glen. Hopefully, there's no rain, but even if there is, I don't really see it being that big of an issue for me. I know the track super well, uh, so yeah, just looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was just looking at their weather forecast. I think you're safe on the rain side there for next week, that championship race. But great job getting you second here. Who do you have to thank for getting you here tonight?
First of all, everybody at GLR for putting this whole thing together, especially Tim Jones. Also, got to thank Jam Printing and Promotions, MK Fire Designs for their sponsorship of the series. Everybody at V Speed for putting on amazing broadcasts. Alexander PC's Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators, and of course, Signature Signs and Graphics, Pappy's Pet Lodge, and Ghost Energy.
I can't believe that you thanked Tim Jones. What's wrong with you? You don't do that in public, man. I don't give him any
Uh,
credit in public.
what's
Only.
wrong with me? I mean, I had a list.
Hey, congrats on that second place. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
That was Jason Kristen there. Our second place in the prototype field.
And I'm standing by Patty Armstrong. This is Jake Lanky in the booth. You got a copy?
Hi guys, how you going?
Not doing too bad, and I'm imagining you're not doing too bad either. You had yourself a pretty uneventful race for the most part, and that netted you a solid P2. That battle at the beginning was getting kind of hairy, and you almost had him at the end of the first stage. Take us through it.
Yeah, bit of a silver surfer these days it seems. Another second place, but all good. Yeah, on the start it was. I thought we might go three wide with Joshua coming in behind, but thankfully not, because I think that would have ended in a bit of a disaster. But I mean, within the first couple laps, I think I got to slow down in the chicane, um, and then just head down, got past Itamar, and then past Joshua maybe a lap or so later, and then Austin got a slowdown, which was a bit of a saving grace for me because it let me get back in his toe, and then we were putting down pretty similar pace. I think he was saving a bit more fuel than me, so maybe not true equal pace between us two. And then I spun coming out the pits after the first pit cycle, so kind of threw away the win there if there was ever a chance. And then it was just fuel saving, make sure I only had to do two stops. Not really sure what Joshua was doing with his fuel strategy, but didn't seem to work out too well for him. So yeah, pretty happy with the race. Overall, not too many mistakes. Yeah.
Yep, relatively mistake free. That one unfortunate, but he still netted a podium finish. Congratulations on your podium. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next week, sir.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
All right, well, that was second place in the GT3 field. I'll tell you what, we don't have our third place finisher in the prototype field, but it looks like we do have our third place finisher in the GT3 field.
Yes, we do. Samuel Yosef, this is Jake Lanky in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Jake.
How's this for a change of pace? I'm interviewing you instead of Ken, huh? How about that?
I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the GTP around Indy, but I do know the GT3 around here. I love running GT3s around here, so I kind of went back to what I'm familiar with.
Yep. I think I brought something up in the middle of the broadcast, and we're not certain. I think you're the first person this season to get a podium in both the GTP and a GT3. And you had some ups and downs throughout the race, but you ended up netting yourself a podium. Take us through it.
Yeah, everything was good. I was working with Patty, being teammates. We're trying to figure out how I can help him get past Austin while they were battling, but he had his moment, and then I had my moment on cold tires. But thank you for German engineering, because the car was perfectly fine, even though I slammed it at probably more than 10 Gs. So, car was perfectly fine. Really couldn't figure out if Josh had better fuel strategy than I did, but probably after that last stop, I just realized that I had it in the bag. I just had to take care of the car.
Yep, and just keep plugging along and running your race, and it netted you a podium in the GT3s. Who do you have to thank for putting you up there?
Yeah, definitely gotta give a good shout out to iRacing for what they do. MK Fire Design for sponsoring the series, Sim Motion, Harpoon Designs, Brantley, those guys out there have they are the designer for my next gen car, so big shout out to them. Zach Graphics, and big shout out to Angler Racing for racing with them this week. Hopefully you see them next week in Watkins Glen.
Yes, sir. Congratulations on the podium. Thank you for your time. We'll see you at the Glen.
Yeah, thank you.
That wraps up our second to last race of the season. Next week, we said it over and over again. We're going to have our championship race at Watkins Glen. And Jacob, that usually fills up pretty well because we got a lot of the oval drivers that will be there as well. So I imagine we'll have a packed house here at Watkins Glen for the final race of the season. But I got to tell you, that points battle, it really hasn't tightened up. It's only shrank for some of these guys. Jacob Licky is in the back trying to catch up, as well as Joshua Jackson. So those guys, both those drivers, got their work cut out for them next week.
Everybody wanting to finish out this season on a good note. Watkins Glen is going to be a great place to do it. We finally get to officially crown our champions for the spring season.
Well, I tell you what, Jacob, it's been a long 2 hours. What do you say we end this? We'll see everybody next week. I'm Ken Huber. Alongside me has been Jacob Lenke. We've had Bobby Bender on production. And I have to apologize for the start of the broadcast tonight. We were having some internet issues, and we got that resolved, and we were able to get this 2-hour broadcast to you here. But see you next week at Watkins Glen. Good night, everyone.